Time for songs.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Let the games begin.
Greetings, visionaries. Welcome to Velen's Chosen, the podcast geared to buff the Hearthstone game of you players. We exist to help you stay competitive on the ladder, especially in standard mode, and I'm talking very fast because we're going to be talking only cards today, and today only. We're not covering emails, we're not covering anything else. We're basically just going to do news, card updates, and cards, and this is going to be a long episode, so buckle up, folks. Joining me today,
so many cards.
We have Evemartyn from Canada, Andrew Brown from the South, and Rob from the middle of the United States.
Let's do business.
This is straight frickin' business. We have seen 68 of the 100, or I'm sorry, we've seen more than 68 of the previous cards, but we're covering 68 of them today, 12 changed cards, and on the basic and classic set. So, without further ado, let's jump into the news. Tuesday, April 26th, folks, official announcement date.
Woo! It's such a surprise. Nobody saw this coming. Wait.
Not even Blizzard spoiled this one.
It's just nice that we don't have to worry about it or wonder about it now.
Yeah.
And we are in the single digits.
There's an astounding
You might even be listening to this episode on April 26th. Who knows?
Astounding. In fact,
possible.
With the new emote that we're going to be able to use.
Okay, so I'm happy about that because the whole BMing with sorry. I think it's going to be, you still have attitude, right? You still have a bit of character.
Yeah.
But it's not that, like,
I already miss my Khadgar sorry emote because he goes, uh-oh, oops. So I won't be able to do that anymore. Hopefully he has another BM level over 9,000, but we'll get there. And then
my problem is...
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
My problem is I always use the sorry emote to literally apologize if, like, my opponent just absolutely destroyed me, and now I can't. Now I have to marvel that they beat me, and I don't like that.
Marvel at your skill, face hunters.
But I guess
probably the only person that uses the emote that way.
All I ever wanted was one sorry from my opponent when that happened, and then I would feel like, okay, you at least can, say that was ridiculous, but... Oh, well.
My favorite emote is Squelch, so...
It's Squelch?
Yes, Squelch is my biggest weapon.
Opening week, there is a trial period that we've been saying already. You're getting 3 packs for logging in. Amazing. But we got brand new news, and Eve is going to tell you about how you can get even more packs for free.
Okay, so you will be given a quest. If you win 2 games in Standard, you get 5 more Whispers of the Old God packs.
Hello.
Huge. And then once you finish that, they will give you another quest where you can win 7 games and get 5 more Whispers of the Old God packs. So Andrew and Rob don't know this, but I actually decided not to buy any packs.
Wow.
I kind of wanted to be on the same page as some of our listeners who don't have the money to spend on the game and kind of have that feeling of how it is going to be to make decks in the new meta with just what I've bought with gold and what I've made with my dust. And so I'm not buying the 50 pre-purchase packs this expansion. Partially it was kind of a can't really afford it. It's a little bit too expensive for me to do right now in my life, but partially it was like, actually, this will be a good thing for me to be on the same level as a lot of our listeners. So when I heard this, I was like, yes! So many ways to get more packs.
So now you're feeling the emotions of the community.
Yes! I'm like, yes, please, thank you so much. And then it kind of went to a different level with me where it's like, I've just started playing Hearthstone with my husband, and the level of entry is huge to try and catch up, to even like make a decent deck. Yes. And so this is like, this goes along with what I said in previous episodes where I thought that Blizzard was making a really big push to welcome people into the game, to say if you've never played Hearthstone before because you looked at all the cards and were like, wow, that's way too much, I'll never catch up. This is like,
now's the time.
Here's a whole bunch of cards. You're going to be having Standard, which is the smallest amount of cards like in that version, so you don't feel so intimidated, and it's also the most competitive mode. So as you're entering, it's like only Standard, not as many cards as you might have thought. Also, you're coming in at the same time as all these other people who are also trying to get their cards together to make new decks, so it's not like everyone's ahead of you. And all of this advertising that they're doing, trying to get new people into the game, has kind of made me feel, and this could just be me thinking this, that they have a good amount of people playing Hearthstone, but not a lot of new people coming into the game. Like maybe they've reached a point where people are too put off by all of the cards that they don't have. So they're going, how do we make this really welcoming to new people? Give them a ton of cards. Give them
the least amount of cards that we have been able to play with since Goblins vs. Gnomes released.
Yeah.
The least amount of
cards. So
cards.
make it way less intimidating. Give them a whole bunch of cards. Give them a guaranteed legendary and cards that work with that legendary. Like all of these things that they're doing is like saying, it's not scary. You can start playing Hearthstone right now and like
I have some
a leg
stats
up.
on how many cards you can actually see in this set. Okay?
How many?
134 cards. We've seen 66, and then today we're covering 68. There's 21 total legendaries, which Eve said you will get one of them. 27 epics, 36 rares, and 50 commons, of which you will get one of them on opening lap. Plus, you actually will end up getting an average of 15 of the cards because of the 3 free packs, even if you just like log in and don't even do any quests. Okay.
Yeah.
The last thing we need to say in news before we get started, because we have a freaking long show today, these packs will, I'm sorry, there's a new UI update that lets you challenge people. You can challenge people on your friends list in Wild, in Standard, or in Tavern Brawl with one click, instead of having to go into Tavern Brawl and then go into your friends list and then challenge them to the Tavern Brawl icon that swaps. Now you just have an icon
Which is nice.
that has a menu that pops up, and then you choose one. Which is great. Great.
New quality of life improvement.
Last thing is your rank. Let's say I'm rank 12 right now. My rank is going to split, and it's going to duplicate itself in Wild and Standard when this releases, but only for this last month. From the next rolling restart, you will start all of your stuff over at the beginning ranks, and then they'll add the stars based off of your progress on the previous one. Let's get into some cards.
And then confirmed that
has arrived.
Oh, sorry, I hit the prompt too soon.
Sorry.
Let's try that again.
And then
I'll edit this for
confirmed
the
when
show.
they and then confirmed when they show your rank, if it's the wild one, it'll have like a bit of like thorns or like what was it?
Vine.
What's the word I'm looking for? Vines. Yes, sorry. Vines around your score so that people can just look at it and tell whether that's a score from Wild or whether it's from Standard.
And with that, let's talking about some cards.
The might of Dalaran has arrived.
All right, played that for cards, but we're going to go into card changes. So, Force of Nature. Andrew, go.
Well, we need to say these are all the nerfs that they've been talking about forever. They're all out there. You should check them out. Force of Nature was one of the ones we knew had to get axed severely because Druid got the nerf bat more than anybody, and Force of Nature is now going to be only 5 mana, but it's just going to summon 3 2/2 treants. So it's very similar to Silverhand Knight, where you pay 5 mana for a 4/4 and a 2/2. Now you just get 3 2/2s. Still going to be useful for Savage Roar, but it's kind of like the nerf to Warsong Commander, where now your opponent has one more turn to kind of get their, to respond to what's on there before you have the opportunity to just completely decimate them in one turn.
More durable.
So they don't have
Dark
charge,
Whispers.
but they also don't die at the end of the turn.
Correct. That's good.
Yeah, just like
They're
Dark
just
Whispers.
2/2 tokens. Yep.
It's just 3 2/2s instead of 5 1/1s or a buff to 5. Ancient of Lore, I'll cover this one. 7 mana 5/5, staying the same. The only difference is it will only have one of the options will draw you 1 card as opposed to 2. This makes a 7 mana worse version of Azure Drake. That's kind of what the unanimous decision of the community is. Any other additional things? I think that's pretty much it on
good.
that one.
Two cards
Keeper
are
of the
so
Grove.
strong.
Yeah.
Keeper of the Grove. So this is kind of one of the things that the overall changes were like, if people are using these cards in every single deck, then we need to change them. So it's more like people are making a decision about what to put in their deck instead of auto-include, like Piloted Shredder. So Keeper of the Grove was an auto-include in almost every single Druid deck, or I would just say everyone. So they needed to change it so people were making a decision, basically. Yep. So now instead of being a 2/4, it's a 2/2. Same abilities and everything, but they're just making it a little bit weaker, so it's not like, this is the only card you will ever put in your 4 slot.
Yep. And Druids only had 3 options for silence, which was this card, Ironbeak Owl, and Spellbreaker.
Is this the only class card that has a silence option?
No, silence.
I wanna...
Priest.
Oh, silence.
Yeah,
well,
but
yeah.
like as a minion, yeah, I would say.
As a minion, yes. Yes, this is the only class card that silences as a minion that is in Standard, because we had Wailing Soul.
Yeah, and I guess Priest also has Mass Dispel, but neither of those cards are ever used frequently, so...
But they might soon. We don't know.
Who knows? No one knows.
No one knows. Ironbeak Owl, speaking of silences, goes from 2 mana to 3 mana. That's the only change, and it's also making Spellbreaker a heck of a lot more powerful. In addition, the only other change is you can now pull this from Jeweled Scarab. So we're going to be mentioning this a lot this show. With any 3 mana card that enters Standard through Old Gods or through changes, those are either going to be cycling in or out based off of the Standard mode on what you can see coming out of your Jeweled Scarabs.
And they're really just valuing silence at a higher mana cost, because for a 2/1 body, that should cost 1 mana. Now they're saying the silence on Ironbeak Owl is worth 2. I thought of Spellbreaker immediately, because as a 4/3 body for 4, that's a 3 cost body, but there's only 1 cost for silence there. So Spellbreaker is definitely much more attractive as far as the silencing option in a deck. I think you're going to see a lot more of that than Ironbeak Owl.
Yeah,
I think this is a really good change. They just really wanted to make you have to think, right? With pretty much all the cards we're going to be talking about, they want you to be able to go, should I use this or should I use this, instead of it just being like, that's the one I pick, that's the one I pick.
This was such a cheap option that you could throw into basically any deck, especially the aggro decks where you just need to, throw stuff on the board, and then later you need to have a cheap something to silence that one taunt minion and then destroy them. Now you've got something that's going to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
In the tooth.
To really think about it.
Big Game Hunter.
Big Game Hunter. Yeah, everyone was calling for a change to this, and they wanted it to be like only destroys giants or only destroys, dragons or something like that. But no, we're just going to increase the mana cost to 5 mana. And you know what? I think that's big enough.
This is very
bad. It's going to make it a big enough sacrifice that you're really going to have to suffer to cast it for 5 mana. So, I mean, I think it's a good...
The crazy thing about it, again, with cost of mana, the effect was free practically. A 4/2 body is fine
really
at 3.
oppressive for a 3 mana card.
Yeah. So this makes a lot more sense. 2 mana is still a very cheap removal, but it's going to take up more of your turn to play it, whereas in the past you could do a ton of crazy stuff all at once.
Now, my analysis
and with
on
all the
this
huge
change,
things.
Real
Sorry,
quick,
we're talking over each other.
Yeah, we're trying to be fast. That's the reason we're talking over each other a little bit this week. The Big Game Hunter change that I saw with Firebat's analysis was exactly what I was going to say, so I'll just kind of credit him. But basically, giving it 5 mana means that you can only play 5 mana worth of cards on turn 10, which is great. You can only play something that's huge in previously. Like, you could play a 3 mana card and a 7 mana card. Like, that's ridiculous. This is like 5 mana, you remove a minion, you have a decent minion on the board, and then you can maybe protect it. You can't play this on tempo on turn 3 or tempo on turn 5 with a 2 mana card in Druid anymore to roar the next turn and hit him for a lot of damage. It's like a 6 damage BGH. So now it's a lot more balanced. I very much think that this card will no longer be a 2 of in any of your decks. So budget players rejoice, because it's one less epic card that you're going to need.
That's right.
Well, I will say that because of all of the huge minions we're getting with this expansion, we still need it. It still needs to be something that we can use, but now it's like harder to justify putting in your deck. You really have to think about it.
Sure. Hunter's Mark. 0 mana to 1 mana. I like this. I don't like 0 mana cards besides maybe Circle. Like 0 mana cards.
But we didn't see this coming, right?
No. The only thing I can think of
relatively,
is that this has something to do with cards we're getting later, or some kind of thing that we don't really know how it works together with something else in the Hunter's deck, just to kind of prevent them from making...
It was OP in Lock and Load, and we all know how prevalent that has been in the middle lately, right? So obviously, no, that's not true.
You're so good at the deadpan that I don't know if the sarcasm always comes across.
This is avoiding a lot of issues for with the Death Rattle stuff that we're about to see. Like, I've got a few friends that are thinking that Hunter's going to be one of the most powerful decks of the expansion, just based off of their ability to recharge and continually pump out cards, and
it'll still be a playable card, no doubt, because it's such a powerful effect. And 1 mana, I think it's fine.
But it's kind of the same thing as when they changed that card in Warlocks, which was also 0 mana, and then they changed it to 1 mana.
Yeah, Soulfire.
Yeah, Soulfire. All of a sudden, it was being played way less often.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see
that. It was an auto include before, and then I don't know.
All right, Eve,
so the next card.
Next
card was Blade Flurry. No, you're good. Next card is Blade Flurry, but they might as well be calling it Fan Fury. Am I right? Yeah, that's good. So this card had been on everyone's radar for some kind of nerf, but this one got the Excalibur of nerfs. Holy cow! So instead of 2 mana, now it costs 4 mana. And instead of dealing its damage to all enemies, you're only going to deal it to enemy minions, which I think Amaz, this was his idea for the nerf, was to make it deal the damage to all enemy minions, and that's fine. But 4 mana, the problem is usually you want to buff your weapon first, and you need a dagger up before that. So you're talking about like a 7 mana deal 3 damage to all enemy minions, which is really not good. Or okay, yeah, throw prep in there.
Prep
that's one more card, but yeah, it's just not effective. This is.
Well, here's what I see. Here's what I see is this was a card that was on their radar because it prevented them from making a lot of cool things, like really cool weapons for rogues, which we want more of, and really cool buffing weapons for rogue, which we want more of. So this card was like, well, if we make that, then it's just going to be like 1-turn kills. And if we make this, then... Yeah. So it's preventing them going forward from making lots of cool stuff for rogue. So if they nerf this, it opens the door for a lot of really cool buffing weapons and weapons for rogue.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to say my piece about this, and then we can move on. But the Blade Flurry change is overarchingly too aggressive at this moment, since all of the cards that we're about to review don't really give us new weapons, don't really give us new buffs. It's going to be really hard to play rogue without this card, because it's the only source of board clear besides Vanish. And Vanish and this card are both really expensive. So what we need is not only better weapons, because that's a whole nother argument. Like, you could even go into the discussion of, we could get more weapons, but then why would you ever use Rogue's hero power aside from first turn? Like, there's that weird trade-off. Is like, either their hero power ceases to be relevant, or they're going to get... they need to have buffing cards. And then if they do the buffing cards section, now they have to give us buffing cards that are not only good, but they have to be cheap.
Maybe it just means that we've got a new adventure coming out in May.
And then rogues will dominate. Hopefully.
There we go.
I think it's also that they're pushing rogues towards a different direction. They want them to be more minion-centric than they've been in the past. It's been a lot of spells, a lot of combos. Well, they also have a lot of neutral minions that are going to be providing board clear as well, so we can't just look at the rogues cards specifically. We also have to think about different things that they work with as well. We'll look at it going forward. Only after we've had our hands on the meta for a while can we really see whether rogue is dead. I think it's a little premature to be calling rogue dead, but we'll move on.
I'm not saying it's dead. I'm just saying this is a big hit.
No, yeah, that's just the Twitterverse going crazy.
This is a competitive call as not being a fun Hearthstone player, as being like, I want Rogue to be in tournaments all the time, and it's probably not top tier. So let's move on. Knife Juggalos.
Poor. This was our very first recommendation that you got to get Knife Juggler, but we'll see if it's as effective going forward. It's just a 2/2. That's it. He lost 1 attack, which.
Honestly, he just traded so well when you dropped him, and also had a really great ability that you kind of had to take away the stats in order to make him even. And I think it's fine. He still does his great ability. Yeah,
Yes.
he still has his combo, but his body isn't like so great that he can remove a ton of stuff.
I think we're all in agreement on that one. It's like juggler should be about juggling. It shouldn't be about being disgusting. Like his ability is why you play him. It's not because you get a 3-2 stat line for 2. That's crazy.
And the next card is pretty much exactly the same, which is Leper Gnome. It's just the attack went down by 1, so now it's a 1/1 with the same death rattle, dealing 2 damage to the enemy hero. So still a very powerful effect. Probably still going to see some kind of play, but just not as debilitating when you see it.
They want you to play the card for the effect and not for getting 2 things out of it, right?
I mean, 4 damage for 1 mana
what
is nuts.
I'm thinking is that they're trying to say if it's got a really cool effect, then it's going to have a weak body, which is makes sense. You know, it might not have happened in the past, but we're going reverse power creep to put things to the place where they should be.
Just got a whole lot better. Argent Squire is going to be one of the better 1-drops that we can play. Arcane Golem got destroyed. Oh my word!
I posted
about
this on Twitter and had a lot of reactions from people agreeing with me. Leroy Jenkins just got a buff.
Okay, so let me just make a quick comment. Arcane Golem is probably the most unplayable card aside from Wisp right now. So
you can
be sure to go dust it just for fun. Like, this card's bad.
Just for fun.
It's worse than Dancing Swords was.
It's a rare. You're going to get your full dust refund. Go get 2 of them.
Yep, and then the other thing is, this is synergizing around Blizzard saying...
Wait. Hey, we haven't said what the change is yet.
Oh. Sorry, we don't need to say it. Just dust it.
The change is that now it's a 4/4 body, and it does not have charge, but it still gives your opponent a mana crystal. So you are getting a bigger body for less mana, but you cannot use it immediately, which is the entire reason that it was played. Yeah. So Reno Lock combo is gone. This is gone out of... You're going to play Wolf Rider, basically, instead.
Yeah, the reasoning makes sense that they would make this card not unplayable, but not have charge, or maybe make it a lot weaker with charge, because, frankly, they don't like it when you have 1-turn kill decks, so they're trying to reduce the overall potential of that and free up design space. And with having a card like Leroy Jenkins in there, it's fine to have that as being a 1-turn kill win condition if you can only run 1 copy of it. The problem with Arcane Golem is you could run 2 of them, and then you can increase your ability to cycle your cards and then do that in Warlock. So it makes sense.
Power overwhelming it 3 times and then leave your opponent crying and say, wow, astonishing.
The Molten Giant nerf. 20 mana.
Okay, I gotta ask you a
25
question.
Mana.
Do you guys think this signals the end of Handlock?
I saw some people wondering if we're going to use Frost Giant instead, which I think that's probably a fair question. I don't think it's the end of Handlock. I think that it won't play as well as it did, but people will find a new way, even if it's that what's that 7 Eerie statue. Even there are a lot of different cards I think people will start looking at. Blizzard is going to accomplish what they were hoping to, which is that people are going to start looking at other cards and probably have it diversified. There will be other cards who end up being OP, and then they'll have to nerf those ones. That's just the
time and place for this card. There will always be a time and place.
We thought after the nerf to Warsong Commander, we're like, Patron's dead, and then they just found a different way to do it.
Exactly, yeah.
So maybe that's kind of the same thing, because, I mean, Handlock's been around since the beginning of Hearthstone. So when I saw this change, I was like, is this like the first time Handlock's not going to be a thing anymore?
Yeah,
so I guess
it just means that they don't have 1 or 2 of the cards that they would normally play, right?
Where they really have to risk it and bring their health down super low.
I think
really low.
a good option, to be really blunt. Like, you're going to hero power at least 3 or 4 times, so it's going to be... I mean, you normally hero power twice out of the gate just to play a Twilight Drake or a Molten Giant initially. And so you're already got 8 mana that you just have to use your hero power a couple more times. So it's a little bit more balanced, too, because you're not going to be able to play this Giant, or you're not going to be able to play Frost Giant for 0 very easily. That's the whole point. They don't want you to be able to play Giants very easily.
The Mountain Giant is the first one to be played anyway, to Rob's point. So if that was getting nerfed, there'd be something bigger, but... This is just one tool that is going to have to be redefined, I think.
All right, last change. Andrew?
Last one, Master of Disguise. No one saw this coming, except Except if you
everyone.
pay attention to their design conversations,
Yeah.
you totally saw this coming because Ben Brode mentions this card a lot. Even though it's unplayable, it has a super powerful effect, keeping your minion stealthed indefinitely. So things like Animated Armor was made a mage minion. It was originally a neutral minion, but it couldn't be a neutral minion because if you had that stealthed, then you're doing
Game
really
over.
good. So
Yeah.
all it was the effect was just give a friendly minion stealth until your next turn, which boom, all of a sudden there's lots of playable stuff, and that's a huge reason why they go through these nerfs of classic cards, because these are going to be around indefinitely. So even though this wasn't played, it stopped them from being able to develop certain amounts of cards. So
I agree. We have a public opinion survey that I saw Crypt post on Twitter, so we've included that in the link. If you're curious to see what the overarching community is, I will refresh the page,
really
but
cool.
I'm pretty sure it's around, it has 36.8 thousand responses on this survey. So you go take the survey, go check out the responses. Most people have kind of the similar opinions. Pretty neat. With that, let's go into the cards. We've put a link into the Mana Crystals ad that cycles them. You can go to Hearthstone or Hearthhead if you want to see the cards organized by classes and rarity. So let's get into it. Shifting
Or
Shade.
Hearthstone's Facebook page.
Yes,
Yeah, they're all on
Hearthstone's
there, too.
Facebook page. This is what we'll be
Tell us
using
about-
today.
tell us about Shifting Shade, Rob.
Shifting Shade was the card that Amaz released, which is a 4-mana priest minion at 4 attack and 3 health with the death rattle of copy a card from your opponent's deck, and
That would be
add
OP.
it to your hand. Not Rafam.
Yeah.
Copy a single card from your opponent's deck and add it to your hand. So this is basically half a Thought Steal and a death rattle. Really, really good card. I like it.
It's good. It capitalizes on what Priest is doing already. This is the milkshake card, that you want. But it's a decent body. It's kind of akin to Piloted Shredder, except for you're getting a card into your hand, which gives a little bit. It's a little bit more fair that way.
Yeah. This card is really, really good for control matchups, and it gives you a body to contest the board early in aggro matchups. So it's a very versatile card. We may actually never see Thought Steal again unless you want to play Milkshake. So this card, I think, is effectively putting
think?
Thought Steal on the back door.
The problem is
about that.
Thought Steal gives you so much value. I don't know.
I mean, it's like drawing 2 cards from your opponent's deck, whereas this one gives you 1 card from your opponent's deck and puts a body on the board.
It's true.
You might run both.
We'll see.
I don't think you'll run 2 of Thought Steal. I think you might run 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, Shifter Xeris.
So this is cool. I like this card a lot. It's a 1-mana, 1/1 legendary neutral, and he's a little cute guy with his little tentacles and stuff, right? This is just a little guy. His effect says each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a random minion. So to clarify, the only time you can play him as Shifter Xeris is the turn that you draw him. So you can play him immediately as a 1/1 for 1. Almost never going to do that, obviously. But then every turn after that, it's kind of an unstable portal without the, or a more controllable unstable portal without the decrease in mana cost. So I think it's just going to be fun. It's a fun card. It's an
Really nice
auto-including
card.
Casino Mage. I mean, Casino Mage is looking better than it has before. I thought Unstable Portal leaving was a problem, but now that we got Yogg-Saron and the Servants of Yogg-Saron and stuff, I mean, and this card just goes right in there. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm thinking about this card is, like, if you start off with him in your hand and he changes into something awesome, but you don't have the mana to cast him,
Yeah,
he's
that'll
going
be-
to change at the beginning of the next turn. So you're
Oasis
like, no, my
Snapjaw!"
Rakdos!
I'm sure there will be some Trollden videos with him too. And just to clarify, like, I thought immediately, well, wait, if he transforms into another minion, then he can't transform into the other one. But yes, he can. It won't say it, but there will be like an effect around him so that you know which card is the Shifter Xeris, and he'll keep transforming every turn no matter what.
And he does it at the beginning of your turn, which is an important thing to
Yes,
understand.
yes. Mhm.
And he will hold effects like Emperor Thorson and different
Mistcaller.
abilities. That,
Yeah.
Mistcaller, yeah. So
Okay, Princess
Cool.
Huhuran.
Weird name.
Hunter
AQ40.
Legendary,
Okay.
5-mana beast, 6/5 stats, battle cry, trigger a friendly minion's death rattle effect immediately. So because this and a bunch of other death rattle minions that we have in Hunter, it seems like they're kind of pushing us towards a new archetype, which sounds super fun. which might make Feign Death something people actually use.
Only in Wild.
So I like it. I like them trying to go, come away from the aggro, look at something else, think of something else to play as Hunter, and hopefully it works out.
It was interesting. Every kind of Hunter, though.
Every kind? Well, every kind that has Savannah Hyman, I guess. You've got at least that card, right?
Yeah,
Beast synergy, yeah.
Because Face Hunter, you don't want this card in there. Yeah. But
well, depends on if you're running any Death Rattle cards. It's worth it. It's 6/5, dude. It's huge for 5 mana.
It's too slow.
Yeah, but that's vanilla stats. Pit Fighter's a 5/6. It's the same.
Yeah, but it has the attack that's higher. It has the Beast Enable kill command, and it can duplicate your feral, your new Wolf card that actually has 2 spiders that pop out, which we'll get to in a bit.
You don't
Which
actually
are beasts.
this Face Hunter, man. Come on.
Yeah, no, you don't. But
I'm
still a good card.
Pretty much every other one, it'll be fun to play with this. I mean, like, Gazrilla was like, whoa, that's crazy, but then it actually wasn't played. This, because it's got a battle cry that's pretty powerful. I mean, you play this off of your Sylvanas, that's awesome. You play it off Savannah, that's awesome. And
it's 5 mana, which makes it low enough cost that it's not too late game.
You've persuaded me.
The thing with aggro decks is, like, I don't know how much you play Face Hunter, but the thing with, like, complete aggro decks is you have to have every card in there needs to have a specific aggro ability. And this does. I did
play some Face Hunter this week, and it reminded me that every card's got to go face, and that's it. Yeah. That's all you want to do.
It has to be very specific. You don't want anything that's sitting in your hand.
Yeah. Next one here is Twilight Flamecaller. This is a mage common minion. It's 3 mana, 2/2. Battlecry, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. So it's got an arcane explosion effect for 1.5 mana, kind of. It's an okay card.
I like it. I think this card is actually a lot more powerful than people are thinking.
Really? Why is that?
This basically allows you the luxury of doing an AoE without really hurting your board too much, because mages have a lot of pretty powerful 1 and 2 mana minions that they can play, or spells that they can play, where they don't necessarily die to this effect. Think of Mana Worm, think of turn 2, you're normally playing spells. Turn 3, you play this to clear the board and do whatever else you need if they're having weaker minions. So I like this card a lot.
But the problem is it doesn't have spell synergy. It has an effect instead of you casting a spell to have the same effect, which would have spell synergy. So that's why I don't like it, is that it's a minion that does something when mage usually revolves around a lot of spells, casting them to get double.
Mm-hmm.
But Arcane Explosion is not one of those spells that we typically play in Mage. So I don't know that you're necessarily losing it. It's interesting that you get a 2-in-1 with this one. We can leave it at that.
For me, I think it's dependent on the meta. If you're up against a lot of token decks out there, this could be played.
Yep. It's a really good each card to give you a effect for a common. So again, budget players rejoice. So
that's right.
All right. This is the last
wait, and super powerful in Arena. Super powerful in Arena.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You want that card. Sorry. Just had to throw that in.
Yeah, good point, Andrew. All right, Dark Arakoa. The Druid minion.
Got a Druid common minion. 6 mana, 5/7, taunt, Battlecry, give your Cthulhu +3/+3 wherever it is. And I believe, Rob, you were quoted in saying, hello.
This card, oh my word. Do you even need to play Cthulhu? Like, why couldn't they put this card in Arena without the Cthulhu effect? Like, this card's so freaking good. 6 mana? What? This is basically a 6 mana 6/6 with taunt type effect, right? But they switched it, and they gave it more health, and they gave it a little bit less attack, and it's still really good.
Which is what you want with the taunt card.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about all the 5 health minions that this trades with. I mean, there's so many. So
it even kills a Huron.
Yeah. So Druid.
You just like saying Huron.
I do.
Between this and the Claxi Amber Weaver, is that what it's called? The one that's like a 4/10 if your Cthulhu has 10. Right. Cthulhu Druid's looking pretty viable, at least.
Yeah, I really do like it. They're finally showing us a few cards that aren't just vanilla. Give your Cthulhu this. They're like actually good, and they have Cthulhu effects.
It'll be fun.
All right, Zealot Initiate? Is that... Yeah. Zealous Initiate.
Zealous Initiate. Neutral common, 1 mana for a 1/1. Death Rattle, give a random friendly minion 1/1.
Cool.
It could be played.
Just giving you more options for the 1 slot, I guess.
You're not paying for the effect. That's the nice thing.
It's 2/2 stats, yeah. And what was interesting to me was I was hoping that the Hunter common cards would be Death Rattle cards because we hadn't seen much, and yet we had some kind of hints that we were going to get a lot. But it seemed like it's actually the neutrals common cards that would be played in a Hunter Death Rattle deck, and this is one of them. I don't know that it's hard because you're not guaranteed the effect, but if you can pull it off, man, 2/2 worse stats for one. That's good.
This is something you probably aren't
because
playing
if it
on
gets
turn
killed
1,
when
right?
there's nothing else on the board, then that's just kind of meh.
I think that if you don't have the coin, if it's your very first turn, you play it on turn 1, then you play a 2 mana.
And then,
yeah, they probably won't kill your minion on turn 1, and you can run it into something. They're not going to coin out.
On turn 1, they're not going to coin ping. That's so much less tempo.
Unless it ends up being the new Undertaker, and that's like the only way to deal. Like, you know.
No, not
but
PTSD.
I don't think that's what's happening, but we'll see. I like that this card exists. I think it's cool. It's a different kind of effect, and it makes you think differently about your decks.
Okay.
Yep.
Next.
Usher of Souls. This is a Warlock common minion, 5 mana, 5/6. Whenever a friendly minion dies, give your Cthulhu +1/+1. Okay, wait, hold on.
Hold the phone.
Now, this stream happened yesterday. This is cracking me up because literally I've looked at the list of cards 4 different times since then, and every time there's been a card that I've missed. And I missed this one somehow. I don't remember this. This is cool.
This card is
It's a dark
nuts.
cultist, basically, right?
This is so cool. And it's durable. It's a durable cultist that gives you something a little bit less good immediately, and really good later. Like Zoo
this.
can play Cthulhu for fun. You know what I mean?
So it reminds me of that, what is it, Ravaging Ghoul, the one that gets buffed every time a minion dies?
That's it. Mm-hmm.
And this is like really good for a Cthulhu deck.
I like
Especially since Warlock has quite a few. Well, they're losing Implosion.
Well, no,
in
the
standard.
Forbidden Ritual, though, we'll talk about that in a sec. That just gives tokens like crazy.
That's
so
true.
you want that with this.
Forbidden Ritual's so
Very good, yeah.
Okay, Twisted Worgen.
Neutral, common, 2 mana, 3/1, stealth.
This
It's
is
the
a super
corrupted
Worgen
Worgen
for 1 more
Infiltrator.
Yeah.
It'll
not
trade
really
up.
much else to say, guys.
It'll trade up. That's nice, at least.
It is
Yes.
nice. It's cool art, like on-point art. Very cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Twin Emperor Velkanash and his other twin emperor Velklor. So Velklor is the collectible
Veclor
one.
and Vecnilash.
So yeah,
Weird.
Velklor is the collectible one, and he is a 7 mana 4/6 with taunt and battle cry. If Cthulhu has at least 10 attack, summon another emperor. So basically, if Cthulhu has 10 attack by the time you roll around turn 7, you can play this and you get 2 4/6 taunt minions. That's crazy. That's an
Let's
8/12
Is this
for
the new
7.
Dr. Boom?
Let's talk about the 2 situations, because if it's less than, you're getting a 4/6 with taunt for 7, which really, that should be a 5 cost, so you're overpaying for 2.
It's
Now, on the
5/5,
other
yeah,
hand, you're
vanilla.
getting 8/10 with taunt for 7 mana. Like, just
8/12.
wrap your mind around that.
8/12.
8/12? Oh, yeah, you're right. Gosh, 8/12.
That's
My
redonk.
math is... Yeah,
Yeah.
that's stupid. So I think this card is an auto-include if you get it.
And the
I
art
think
I
is
think the
so
risk
cool.
reward is even enough, right? Like if you don't manage, the risk versus reward is good enough to make it even, because if you don't manage to get Cthulhu to at least 10 attack, then it really is not good.
And we haven't talked about these cards since like the very beginning, because like some of the first cards that they unveiled for Cthulhu decks were those really low cost, like 2 mana, 3 mana that would buff your Cthulhu. By turn 7, there's a really good chance that your Cthulhu has 10
Even by turn 5,
attack.
like you can realistically get
And
in there.
innervate this on turn 5?
Drop the mic!
I mean, that's
Okay, next card.
disgusting.
It's all you
Well,
need to
basically,
say.
one more thing to say is that this is going to get you to turn 10, right? You want to be able to make it to turn 10 to get your Cthulhu out. So this is one of those stalling mechanics that's like, I got to stay alive, get to Cthulhu, get to cast him.
Good point.
So, yeah.
Good point. Okay,
Next one,
Twilight Geomancer, 2 mana, 1/4. Taunt, Battle Cry, give Cthulhu taunt.
This card sucks.
I don't like this card.
Like, we're hoping Cthulhu is the game ender, right? Like, when you cast him, you're hoping he does lethal. So giving him taunt, is that really that great of a thing?
And the problem is he's already, 11-11, 15-15? Like, your opponent has to hard removal him with a spell like Hex or Assassinate or something like that anyway. A taunt isn't going to... It's going to make the game unwinnable, or it's already in an unwinnable state at that point, you know?
So I know that I've said this before, but I have a Golden Black Knight that I opened a couple weeks ago, and I was really excited about it. And the top-rated comment for this card says, quote, Black Knight intensifies.
I think it's cool, by the way. I wish that there was a better card that gave Cthulhu something different. Like, I don't know what else. You don't want to give him Stealth or Divine Shield or Wind Fury. Or
oh my god!
Yeah, golly. So Taunt's really the only thing you can give him, but I just don't think it really makes a difference. And a 1/4 for 2 is like, nah.
Also, can we go to Dreamland, Andrew, and just think that this was Charge instead of Taunt?
Sure.
I feel icky. I'm glad that this is a common, and I'm also really glad that they're showing the orc females some artwork. Must say, like, really cool.
Yes.
This is a orc female warlock that looks like she's down in Earth Mother Therazine's realm. So very cool.
Next one is Twilight Darkmender, a priest rare minion, 5 mana, 6/5. Battlecry: if your Cthulhu has at least 10 attack, restore 10 health to your hero. And this was played on the live stream with Brodan and Ben Brode.
To great effect.
This card
like 10 health
really awesome.
a lot.
And
I think this is an auto-include in a Cthulhu deck, honestly, for Priest.
Yeah.
This also proved that you could get to
It's going to help you get to 10, to turn 10.
Yeah. It'll help you get to turn 10. It also proves what Andrew and I were saying earlier. Like, you can play this on turn 5 and actually realistically get that Battlecry effect. And if you're really that low, this is amazing bounce back.
You'll extend the game to turn 10 so that you can play your Cthulhu.
And the body is massive on this thing. 6/5 for 5? Are you kidding me? That's hoo-hoo-rah with a heal.
And we mentioned in a previous episode that it seemed like Cthulhu decks were going to be really boring, like just playing vanilla every turn. I think we're seeing it's going to be a little bit more fun, at least, than we thought. And I'm really hopeful for Cthulhu decks going forward.
They're giving every class something that's really good to play with Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, Crackle's back, and it's more consistent than ever. Stormcrack! 2 mana shaman spell, deal 4 damage to a minion, overload 1.
So this is
not
Shadow
Crackle,
Bolt.
because this can't go face.
No.
But it's more consistent.
It's Shadow Bolt. Because it's 3 mana, 4 damage to a minion. It's not very exciting.
Oh, well, you mean the overload, right?
With the overload considered, yeah. I mean, it does what Shaman wants to do, which is play something higher on curve. But you think about it, like, you don't necessarily want to play this on turn 2 because your opponent probably doesn't have anything with... I mean, maybe against an Armor Smith, that might be a good play, but then you spent... Yeah, you spent 3 mana to do that. I don't know that you really
Control Shamans
want that.
Really love this
I don't think this is on curve. I think this is a later thing, especially because of the overload. You want to have something that can clear your overload for the next turn, which there are some things that you can do with that.
We'll get to how overload can be cleared, because there's a brand new card that I am super excited about. We'll get to later. Let's go to the next one. That's kind of the idea around this. We don't have much time to spend on each individual card. The Squirming Tentacle!
Why are you hyped for this card?
I think he just likes to say squirming tentacle.
That's totally
I
fair.
really want this card art to move in Golden. I want this thing to be like everywhere. That'd be so good. It's a 2/4 for 3 mana, and it has taunt. I really like the card. I don't know if I'm correct in this, but I'm going to kind of go out on a limb. This is kind of my little bit of a sleeper random card. I think it's really good. Like, it helps you stall the game. It helps Bolster Warrior become a thing. You
could both play Warrior once Fierce Monkey.
Well, that's true, but I mean, you can only run 2 Fierce Monkeys. And then this is also something that's really interesting to me. Like, it's balanced, it's vanilla, it's really good for Arena. I really like it.
I guess here's the good thing. You play this on turn 3 after your opponent played like a 3/2 minion on turn 2, and it can soak up that damage, and then there's still 1 health to deal with, so it's a 2 for 1. So I guess it's not. It's not bad. It's just
it's
not
calming
exciting.
early game aggression, and it's not like unbalanced Sludge Belcher level.
Sure.
So
It's a good thing that it exists.
I think
We
it's
need more
just a good
Tom.
arena card. It's a common. It's going to come up a lot. It's got fairly good stats. I don't think it's going to be played in decks. It's just not. It doesn't do anything.
it's a valid
You know-
point, but the best thing is the top-rated comment
How many
for this
vanilla
one
cards
is,
do you see in decks?
the best part about this card is this Rip Silverback Patriarch. Which
There
is
you go, yep.
essentially the same card, just with 1 attack instead of 2. So
That's
power
true.
creep.
Hey, and
All
now
right.
on to the best named card in
Yes!
the entire set.
It's a pirate!
South Sea Squid Face, because he has a squid for a face.
And he
The art
has a
on this
peg
is
leg and a
pretty
parrot.
awesome. It's
I-
really awesome.
I hope that the gold art for this one has all the tentacles going
On his
squirming.
face.
So this
I
card
just
for
hope
me,
every tentacle card is-
this card for me, the best part isn't anything about it and the card art, but the fact that from a lore perspective, this is the one-eyed cheat getting an upgrade and going to Davy Jones's locker.
there you go.
So
So
good.
it's a rogue common minion. It's a pirate. 4 mana, 4/4, and Death Rattle give your weapon +2 attack, which is risky.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I
Because-
evaluate this. This is really hard to kind of say what I think about.
Your opponent can deal with this while you don't have a weapon, and then you don't get the effect.
But that's the
really-
thing, right? If you do have a weapon out and they deal with him, they know they're going to have a penalty to dealing with him, right? So maybe
That's
they
true.
wait to say, if you use your weapon up and you don't have one, or I get rid of your weapon, I'll wait. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
it makes your opponent really have to think, do I really want to give your weapon +2 attack? So you really only put this out if you have a weapon up.
Now, would
I
you
like the
play
fact that
this?
it's a pirate. I love the Death Rattle. Works really well with Rogue. It's got good stats. I think it's a great card.
This card has also got some really interesting combinations to play. So again, this is the hardest thing for me to remind players when I talk with them, because a lot of players don't gravitate towards Rogue because it's really hard to play. Combo is a really tough mechanic to wrap your brain around. But the one thing that I was thinking about when I was looking at this card was that I feel like this is a little bit underwhelming, and then the more I thought about it, the more interesting combinations you can pull. You can play this, and then you can trade, and then you can play a Bloodsail Raider, and you get a +3 attack to the Bloodsail Raider, so it becomes like a 5/3. You can play this, and then you can play an Unearthed Raptor, and then you can get +4 attack if both trade in. So you have these interesting synergies with this card, and I don't think it's awful, but oh man, Tomb Pillager is just so good, like on 4. You know, that's the biggest problem, is it's got something else to compete with that's really good.
Well, and the other thing is just hard to compare it to, because we've never had a buff mechanic like this for your
Right.
weapon.
Right.
So we really don't know how effective it. I like what you said, Eve, that there's a good chance, like if you equip a weapon before you play this, that your opponent has to kind of deal with it. I think it might see play though.
Okay,
We'll
Yeah.
see.
Especially
Go to
in
the next
pirate
one.
decks.
Oh wow, I have a lot of
Sylphid
tokens
Swarmer.
here. Hang on. Oh, let me just point this out for those of you on the live stream. Silverhand Murloc, cutest card in the game. I will fight
Yes.
you if you think otherwise.
Silverhand Murloc.
It is the card that
Did you see
gets
the card
generated
art?
from Vile Fin
No.
Inquisitor.
Or when
Oh,
you change your hero power to get the 1/1 Murlocs, it's so cute.
It's
I
very
put it on my
cool.
Twitter feed if you just want to check it
Okay.
out. It's like the last
I want to
thing
get
I posted.
this card in a mini figurine and play D&D as this character roleplay all day
so
long.
cute. It kind of goes along with all of those little chibi characters they've been making, like
Yes!
the little squid guys and the little.
They have to make
the
a pop
little
felt figure of this, like the little pop figures with the bobbleheads.
Yes.
Oh.
or
Okay,
plushy.
Sylphid Swarmer, Andrew.
Aww, he's so cute. He's so cute.
So cute.
I mean, he's not playable, but he's cute. Next one is Sylphid Swarmer, neutral rare minion. He's 3 cost, 3/5, and he can only attack if your hero attacked this turn, which is really interesting. He reminded me of the Argent Watchman, which is the Inspire mechanic. You had hero power in order to make him attack.
Who's it work with?
He's great stats. Great stats.
Yeah.
So in Druid, in Hunter, in Warrior, in Paladin, in Rogue.
You got it.
Works.
Shaman.
Okay.
Shaman, too.
Oh, yeah.
Shaman.
Sorry, Shaman. So the only thing it's not going to work with is what? Priest and Mage?
Unless you play Blingtron and Wild.
Good point.
Yeah.
Which is the ultimate combo, not.
I think this card's really good for Rogue, especially. Rogue and Warrior will utilize this card a lot more than other classes, I believe.
And you also have to think of him as an Ancient Watcher, so he'll have that kind of same effect, sort of, if you don't have a weapon or can't attack.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, 3/5 are good stats.
Mage card. This card is one that they didn't show on the stream. It's 2 mana, Shatter, common, destroy a frozen minion.
Which I wish I had said something about this, because I've had this question for a long time. Why can't I just kill something that's frozen? And boom, they were already ahead of me on it.
Shatter.
So I think this is cool. It'll be fun.
I think this card is very playable.
And it makes that one that we were kind of iffy about, that after you play a spell, freezes a random enemy character.
Yep, it's called the Demented Frostcaller.
Yeah, so that suddenly makes this, okay, I'm not just freezing something, I now have the option for 2 mana, which is pretty cheap, to destroy it.
The only thing I have an issue with this is I think we're like 1 or 2 extra cards away that do good things like Frostbolt. Like, I mean, we have Water Elemental, we have Ice Lance, and we have Demented Frostcaller, and we have Blizzard and Cone of Cold. But again...
Frost Nova.
Frost Nova is what I was thinking.
But I think that this is not necessarily a card that you play for tempo. This is a comeback mechanic. Maybe this is a new Freeze Mage card.
It's kind of like a discounted Assassinate, which if you think about it as that, it's really
cheap. It's going to cost you 2 cards to use. That's the only problem.
That's why I like it with Frost Nova or with the Demented Frostcaller, because then it's kind of like the Flame Waker where you're getting the effect sort of for free, and then because if you had a 2 mana card that destroyed any minion, that's nuts. So
that's true.
This does
if you
have
look
an
at it
effect.
that way, that's really awesome.
You can play like Demented Frostcaller, which is 3 mana, so turn 3 plus Arcane Missiles plus this, that's 6 mana. You can play this, Arcane Missiles with 1 minion on the board and shatter it. So
I like this with Frost Nova, honestly. Like, I like this with Frost Nova. I
think there's a good chance you can get value out of this card. There will be some situations where you'll have to Ice Lance and use this just to get something hard off, but I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I wish this card costed 1. That's the only
thing I have with it. Me too, but then I think it would be an auto-include. And they want you, like, they're kind of going towards making you think more about what you put in your deck. Like, really having to...
Yeah, but with the Execute in the game, which is like 10 times easier to pull off, it's like, why not?
Yeah, it's easier to damage something than it is to freeze something. So, that's interesting.
Right. Let's move on.
We'll keep moving. Yeah, Shadow Strike is a rogue common spell. It's 3 mana, and you deal 5 damage to an undamaged character. So just to be overly clear, you can attack face if face is undamaged, but you never want to use it for that.
Right. Unless you have a Ragnaros Major Domo combo.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or your opponent played Jiraxis and they're really dumb. So
is Major Domo out now? No, that was Blackrock Mountain. So
Domo and
the meta
is still get slapped for 5 with this.
The meta is still alive.
This is basically just a really, really big strike version of Backstab. So use accordingly,
and it'll be playable.
It's good.
You think
3 mana for 5 damage?
A 5 health minion you can destroy for 3 damage, or you can prep for 0 if you really
play
need
this
to.
Instead
or
of
something.
BGH.
Yeah, this is good.
Okay,
all right, next one.
Shadow Beast art, and then we have the Selfless Hero,
Selfless
1 mana.
Hero. It's a Paladin rare minion, 2/1, so little guy, but he has a Death Rattle, give a random friendly minion Divine Shield. So Paladin is going crazy with Divine Shield in this expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Look out for those Blood Knight texts, let me tell you.
Magma Rager. I'm telling you, Magma Rager meta incoming. It's
I don't
happening.
know what else to say. I just want to move on. I don't really like this card. I don't know why it's a rare either. Like, if this is going to be good in Arena, why wouldn't you make this a common?
I think because it's harder to pull off. You know, it goes back to the 1/1 that we talked about that gives 1/1. It's similar that you have to have something on board for it to be
really,
valuable.
really big tempo turn 1 for Paladins in Arena. Like, really big.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, maybe that's why they wanted to make it rare.
Could be.
Come up less often.
Rallying Blade, a 3-mana weapon for paladins. It has 3 attack and 2 durability. Give +1/+1 battle cry. Or I'm sorry, I missed this. My reading skills are on point today, let me tell you. Rallying Blade, 3/2 for 3 mana paladin card. That is a rare battle cry. Give +1/+1 to your minions with Divine Shield.
So another Divine Shield card. They're really pushing Divine Shield. I guess they don't find it as intimidating as things like Charge or Silence, or they don't seem to be scared of Divine Shield at all.
You'll play this over Coghammer and Wild, let me tell you. With mini oh my gosh.
When I was thinking about that deal 1 damage to all minions mage card, the Twilight Flame
Get rid of all
Caller.
the Divine Shields.
Yeah,
Now you
all
know
of
why
a
it's
sudden
my
that
good
sounded
card,
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Starting to make
interested.
sense.
I'm interested to see if there's a Blood Knight meta with this, where you're just giving Divine Shield to everyone, and then
I'd play
turn
it.
4 or 5, you
Sounds
can
fun.
slap Blood Knight and make a 15/15, and
Yep.
I don't know.
I like it.
It's going to
It'll be
start
interesting.
being one of those things where you play against a paladin, you see Divine Shield, and you're like, I got to get rid of that.
Yeah. It's going to be, instead of clearing Silverhand recruits, it's going to be like, oh crap, everything has Divine Shield. It's just a different way to approach Paladin. I like it.
Psychotron wants to psych you up. Neutral common, 5 mana, 3/4 mech, taunt, Divine Shield.
And fantastic
So it's a
hair.
corrupted Annoyatron.
Leotron's bigger brother.
With better hair.
That's interesting. I don't know that it'll be played, but I like that this card exists because it's fun. But that's about it.
This is kind of your more balanced version, again, of Sludge Belcher. I don't think it's going to be played in the same stretch as Sludge Belcher, obviously, for obvious reasons, the stat line. But with the Divine Shield and Taunt, this thing does trade twice. So
Yeah.
we could
gotta
see
In
this
Arena,
being
you
your-
want this.
In Arenas, this is insane. Insane in
Yeah,
Arena.
it's good.
And it's a neutral common, so that's going to be showing up a lot.
And I will be banking
And here's
this
a
in
question.
Golden.
Does this have a place in a wild mech mage deck? Does this fit in with those
I
cards?
think it's too slow. Mech Mage
That's
is very
probably-
fast.
Yeah, around 5 mana, you're hoping to have them almost dead.
I mean, Clockwork Knight's the only mech that you really have that late in the game, so
Exactly, and you only run one.
I don't know. But you don't have any mech decks prevalent really after GVG's cycled out, so
Okay.
I don't know. We probably
On to
won't. see it.
Shaman!
Primal
Andrew.
Fusion is a common spell. It's 1 mana. Give a minion +1/+1 for each of your totems. All right, fine.
Totem
guess.
Carver buff.
That's
So
all
you
I got.
pick which mana to give the +1/+1 for each of your totems to.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheap. It's
It's-
a very cheap spell.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know that this is what Totem Shaman was missing. We'll
I
see.
mean, this is something that
I'm not
I think
excited,
is more of an early game card, right? You want to play Totem Golem, and then maybe coin a Tuskar Totemic, and then if your Totem Golem's stuck, and it's one of those things where if your totems stick and people aren't disciplined by clearing your totems, this card could be good.
Mhm.
So depends.
Well,
on
you could give that 0/2 totem
To a
+2/+2, and it's a 2/4, and that's okay. I just don't know if it's worth a card slot.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's
I
1
agree.
mana, right? So that makes it pretty good.
It's cheap, but card slot. Like, is this what I want in
Yeah,
that deck?
no.
That's really.
Especially with all those awesome cards coming out
Yeah.
for Shaman, this doesn't compete very well.
We got better
we'll
Shaman
see.
cards to
Let's
talk
just
about.
move on.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Power
Rob's
Word
favorite card.
Tentacles.
I want to see this in gold too. All the tentacles in gold. That's all I want to see. Just gold
5
and
mana,
tentacles.
common pre-spell, give a minion +2/+6, and no, we did not consider changing our name to this.
But we maybe.
But now I'm thinking about it.
Power
I don't-
word tentacles?
I don't know how. This is the new Villain's Chosen card.
Yeah,
Basically.
it doesn't have
But
the
it's-
spell power.
How
but-
many how many tickles does it take to get a power word? Tentacles. Sorry.
Aha.
Ah! Okay,
But
I don't know
but
about
where-
this card.
Yeah, whereas Valen's Chosen was great for early game because you could play your Northshire Cleric and then buff it on turn 2 with coin or whatever, or you could heal on turn 2 and then play it. This card is so much later that I don't know where it
How many
fits or
mana
how it
does this
fits.
cost?
It's more or less playing a 2/6 for 5 mana. That's how you really want to look at this. Like, do you play 2/6 vanilla for 5 mana? Probably not.
No, that's a good question. And you got to have something on board in order to use it.
Yeah, like 2/6 or 3/5 or 4/4 for 5 mana. It's like an overstated, weaker version of Blessing of Kings. That's how you want to look at this.
Yeah, like 6 health is a lot. That's a lot to be giving a minion, but the 5 mana cost kind of puts it a little
The
too.
only synergy is
little too
Divine
much.
Spirit Inner Fire decks will probably run at least one of these. Make a card really, really durable. Put this on it. Give it a heal. Wait a turn, and then OTK.
And
So
cry
maybe-
when it gets hexed.
Yeah, and then you cry. Exactly. All right,
Yes.
let's move on. This card is not that exciting. Oh, this art. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. For live streamers, the ooze art. I think this comes out of. Yeah, this is one of the cards that summons a 1/1 ooze with taunt. I can't remember which one it is. We'll get to it later. But this ooze art is amazing. It looks just like a ghost from Luigi's Mansion with a little shield and a sword, and it's adorable. I love it. Okay. On the hunt.
Hunter, common, 1 mana, deal 1 damage, summon a 1/1 Mastiff, which is
Very
kind of
cool.
like a bulldog sort of dog.
Missing charge.
Yeah, it does not have.
Yeah, do you think this would be better if it had charge?
Oh,
This
of course
is-
it'd be better, but it'd probably be a little bit unbalanced. I mean, you're
It's
you're
living
getting some
roots.
good value for it, you know.
Mana, deal
This
1
is like
damage,
living
summon a
roots for
1/1
hunters.
Mastiff. I don't know. I don't really like it. It's not.
Well, you think about it like Arcane Shot, 2 damage for 1 mana. You're still getting that potentially, but it's just split up a little bit, so you can use it to your advantage. You think about playing this on turn 5, and then the guy who let the dogs out,
Master.
Right.
Houndmaster, him.
Houndmaster.
Yeah,
He's really
that's
like
not
this
fast.
Mastiff.
You gotta,
So the Mastiff is a beast. So what I can think of is if you don't have a beast on the board and you need it for your synergy, for your
Anything.
what's it called?
Kill command.
Kill command or Ram Wrangler or something like that. This is
a
like
cheap way to
1
get it.
mana
It's an
instantly give
activator.
you a beast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, it's very. I mean, there's nothing that cheap that gives you that. So if we're thinking in that term, which is a pretty powerful card, actually.
This is really
Yeah.
good card, I think. This is like what we should have had when we had Gazrilla, to be honest. Like, this is another cheap way to activate Gazrilla. That's not Arcane Shot. It gets another card slot in your deck. This is really freaking good for synergy. Like, this is a non-good card on its own, but good with other things. So good with the beast cards. It's also really good with lock and load. So
And I just want to say I love when simple cards add so much value because
Right.
there's nothing profound about this card, and yet it makes all of the beast synergy cards way more effective, and
Yeah.
yet not it's not OP in any sense.
Right.
You know?
It's a way to instantly get a beast if you need a beast.
I like
It's
it.
And do
Basic-
1
yeah.
damage.
it's like Elven Archer. It's the same
Yeah, it
thing.
is.
It's just a spell.
Oh, it's totally Elven Archer. Yeah, you're right. Except for it's a beast, so it's OP.
It's a
Yeah.
beast archer.
I don't know.
All right,
All right,
Nerubian
next one
Prophet.
is Nerubian Prophet. It's a neutral common minion, 6 mana. It's a 4/4. That's overpriced, you might say. Well, you might not be paying 6 mana.
But wait,
for it,
Billy
so don't
Mays,
even
there's
worry.
more.
Because at the start of your turn, you're going to reduce this card's cost by 1 mana. So every turn that this card is in your hand, you'll be able to play it. So imagine if this is in your. This is actually probably the highest cost card that you actually want in your opening mulligan. Because if
Yeah.
you have it there, it's going to be a 3-cost 4/4
4/4.
on turn 3. Or 4/4, I'm sorry, a 3-cost 4/4 on turn 3, which is a good play. Much better than Arcane Golem, Blizzard.
Yeah, but
They want
if
us
you
to
don't
play
get
this
it
card.
in your mulligan, then you're gonna be paying for it, and it's not a great late game card, so I don't see you getting play.
The only thing I'm going to say is Bolvar 4 Dragon didn't see play, and neither will this.
I played Bolvar.
You'll definitely see it in Arena. The hard
Yes.
thing is that it doesn't have any synergy with anything. So that's I think why
Right.
it doesn't really fit necessarily. Maybe in a value deck, but I don't even know what that is. So in Arena, you always want value. So I think you'll see this there.
I think it's an interesting concept. Like, the way this card works is neat, but it's just too unreliable for someone to want to put it in their deck.
All right, guys, we're an hour in, and then we're on our 24th card, so we're going to try to pick up the pace a little bit.
Keep going.
Let's go into
Nat
Nat
the
the Darkfisher.
Yay.
Not any better than Nat Pagel.
Poor
Really?
Nat.
Twice as
Poor
ugly
Nat.
and
2/4
definitely
at the
worse
start of your
fisherman.
opponent's next turn, they have a 50% chance to draw an extra card. Why do you want to give your opponent more cards? Is this a mill legendary?
Well,
You're
now,
paying
here's the
stats
way to
for a
think about
negative
it.
effect.
Yeah, the stats are good. A 2/4 for 2 is great, and there's a chance that it may not do anything for your opponent. So these are the same stats as that Argent Watchman, which you have to use your hero power every turn. You don't have to use your hero power on this, and there's a chance you might not do anything. So it's not.
It's also decent for
bad.
Mill Rogue, because Mill
But
decks
how
like
much
this.
people play
Oh, that's true.
Eve
That's
Makla?
really good.
Eve,
Beast
what were you going to say?
Druid?
I think we might have lost Eve.
How
No, we
much
didn't.
did we play King Mukla, who was really good stats for a bad thing?
It's a Mill Rogue card. Muckla's always been a Mill
Yeah.
Rogue card.
So this is a mill card too.
Yep. All
It's
right.
like, give your opponent more cards.
Midnight Drake,
I don't know.
4 mana, 1/4 dragon, rare card, battlecry, gain +1 attack for each other card in your hand. Basically the inverse version of Twilight Drake.
Is it a corrupted Twilight Drake? Was that very?
I
I
mean,
would
it's
say
like
that.
one.
I would say that, yeah.
Or is it
Midnight
just
Drake,
his brother,
Twilight Drake.
his long lost brother who's come out of hiding?
Bro, you got some tentacles on your face, so I raise you some more tentacles.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do you
This
like
isn't
it?
as exciting.
Gain 1 attack for each other card in your hand. So would you rather have attack or health?
Health.
Health, almost
Yeah.
always. I mean, you think about Corehound versus Captured Jormonger. They both got the same stats. It's just flipped. Corehound unplayable. Captured Jormonger, you at least want an arena. So I don't know. I don't know that this will make dragon decks. I don't even know if you'll want to pick it in arena.
You have
only
to have
time you
5
want-
cards in your hand on turn 4 to play this for 5/4. Like, that's how boring this card is. And it can be silenced.
The only time you want more attack than health is if you're in an aggro deck. And this is not an aggro card. It doesn't have charge. It's not a fast card.
It's meh.
So I don't see...
You want cards in your hand, which are aggro you never do. So
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason you'd play this is in a dragon deck that just needs that one more dragon, and you may be on a budget, and it's a rare. Maybe. Okay? So, for what it's worth.
Malkorok.
much
Malkorok?
more exciting. Malkorok.
Warrior. Legendary. 7 mana, 6/5. Battlecry. Equip a random weapon. It's like Blingtron, except for only for you.
Who gets
This-
presents? Me.
Only
I
me.
get presents, not you.
This card is really good.
I like it,
Right.
except for Cursed Blade.
Well, obviously,
That's
you gotta
why
have
Cursed Blade is in the
possibility of
game, as
That's
well
why
as
I'm
Ogre
thinking.
Weapon.
Otherwise, there's like no negative to getting weapons.
Ooh, imagine getting the rogue weapon from TGT.
Poison Blade, and then a hero power.
Yeah. Although the durability stays the same, doesn't it? So you don't really want that. Never mind. This is a
Doesn't
cool
matter, You're
card.
gaining armor, but yeah. I love this card, like, a lot. I don't know how playable it is because you have to do some more math about statistics, since we're rotating out stuff like Deathspite, stuff like Ogre Warmaul, because that was a TGT weapon, or I'm sorry, a GVG weapon. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we
So-
got to think about which weapons we would actually get with this.
This card
I think
provides
there's
Keep that
plenty
a
that
lot
Viv
of-
attack one for
a lot of
warriors.
value.
Even just on the warrior side, you can even if you get a fiery war axe from it, it's fine. If you get a doom hammer from this, it's disgusting. If you get Arcanite Reaper, that's disgusting. If you get Gorehowl, hello.
Oh my
Thing
gosh.
That you can attack with a weapon right away, so it's like you get a big minion with charge, right? So
I think it's
this
very
is really
playable.
good.
Yeah,
This is really good.
I don't think it's going to replace Gromish, but or
It does something
Grommash.
totally different than
I don't
Grommash, yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Come
you
on.
probably want this in the new Pirate Warrior, because we got a lot more tools
man.
for that, and
Yeah.
that's all about weapons. So, BinacaFreak, sorry we reviewed Pirate Warrior last week, but you got some changes coming, bro, with your
And
13
again-
packs.
Again, remember, when it equips a random weapon, that doesn't mean that it's going to equip a weapon that you can get out of something else, aka upgrade or the rusty hook that you get from N'Zoth's first mate. You're only
Right.
going to get a collectible weapon. So those are the ones you
Yeah.
can kind of work with.
And those are good.
Journey below, 1 mana rogue spell that's a rare. Discover a Death Rattle card. I absolutely love this.
Yeah.
Weird that Rogue is getting it, though, isn't it?
Maybe. I think this fits in Death Rattle Rogue cards, so Raptor Rogue. This also fits
that's right.
pretty much any rogue that wants tempo, because you never have anything to play on turn 1 besides removing a minion with a 0 mana backstab. So you finally have another card to play. And since it's Discover, you're only going to discover neutral and rogue minions only. So you have a higher percentage of getting rogue minions and neutral minions, and you're not going to be getting.
You got a good chance of getting Tomb Pillager off of this.
Yes, and
which
the new
you want, right?
Captain Slitherface or whatever he's called.
There are a lot of really good Death Rattle
which
cards.
Is not bad.
And I really like the fact that you brought up that for Rogue, a lot of the times there's nothing to play on turn 1. And this would be excellent to play on turn 1.
It's kind of a Raven's Eye.
Yeah, it's kind of a Raven's Isle, is right. And it's also similar to, or I'm sorry, this is a card that you're going to look to play in a N'Zoth Rogue deck.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and like Museum Curator, we didn't know if Priest needed Death Rattle or how good those minions would be, and it's been like an auto-include, like, you want a Museum Curator on turn 2. I think this is going to be similar where it enables all. Yeah, but this card's going to enable your combos for 1 mana, which is great. And then you're going to get something more than likely that's going to really help you out.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I like it. It's cool.
It's good,
Infested
good
Wolf. Eve, why don't you read this card?
Hunter, rare, 4 mana, 3/3 beast. It seems like everything they're giving us is a beast. Which I think is awesome. Yeah, Death Rattle, summon 2 1/1 spiders, which are also beasts. So not like Haunted Creeper in that when you lose the Haunted Creeper, you get 2 1/1 Spectral Spiders, which don't give you synergy. These are actually 2 1/1 spiders, which actually look like they're sitting in the wolf's hair. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, let me backtrack on the stream here.
Think of infested wolf.
I had a
this is the spiritual successor, though. I mean, you think of this like Spectral Spider, where you're getting a lot of stats for a low cost, or you think of it as a Tomb Spider because it's the same stats there, except you got the 2 1/1s immediately. So this is a really good card.
I put a picture of the spiders on the live stream for those of you, or not the live stream, sorry,
the
video feed, so you guys can see it. It's really cool. I think you guys covered it. This is just a good card. It's good on tempo. It's durable. It gives you other stuff to do. Makes your Hound
Taunt it up with Houndmaster. Infect it with Infested or whatever. You can double infect it, I guess. Yeah. The infested wolf. Yep. Is that what it would be? Yeah, get a web spinner off it, or web spinner effect.
All right. Next one is Hooded
Acolyte. It's a priest common minion. It's 4 mana, 3/6, and whenever a character is healed, give your Cthulhu +1/+1.
Cool.
It's good.
I think it has good stats for its ability.
It's like a light warden. It's like a light warden for your Cthulhu, basically. And because the health's so high, it's got a good chance to spin around. So I think it'll suit play.
I like it.
Yeah. It's good.
Grotesque
Dragonhawk.
The art is so good. So good.
Corrupted Dragonhawk.
I hope he's flapping his wings in golden.
Oh.
Neutral common, 7 mana, 5/5 beast synergy with Wind Fury. So what? Dragonhawk was a 1 for 1/1 with Wind Fury.
Is that what it was? This is its mother.
Yes.
The question is this going to see play where Wind Fury Harpy has never seen play? And that's a 6 mana 4/5 with Wind Fury. This is a 7 mana 5/5. That's a beast.
Right? So druids and
for those
cards
which give you beasts like Ram Wrangler, can you imagine if this popped out?
And if you have Tundra Rhino on board, hello.
So yeah, this just kind of buffs like put beasts into your hands kind of things and stuff like that. So I like that it's a beast. Are you going to put it in your deck? Probably not. Are you going to choose it in Arena?
Maybe. It depends on what you're offered.
It's a
if
common.
you've got beast synergy in your deck, I bet you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but we'll see. Next card.
Next card. This is great.
Forbidden Ritual. 0 mana epic. Spend all of your mana. Summon that many 1/1 tentacles.
So we saw this on the stream to great effect. It worked really well with that minion that had the death rattle. Give all your
Spawn
minions.
of N'Zoth.
Spawn of N'Zoth.
Yeah.
Spawn of N'Zoth. Yeah, this is good. This is real good.
This
And then that one
where-
this is awesome.
We were talking earlier that buffs your Cthulhu when a minion dies.
Yeah.
Talking about that kind of synergy with this as well.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of memorizing to do for the names of these
Oh my
cards.
God,
'Cause-
you have
and it's
no
going to take
idea.
a while. But
So, rip you
yeah,
players.
Warlock is so good at tokens already to be able to have all of these for whatever mana you want. And if we haven't said it yet, the great thing about these forbidden spells is that you can always use it on your turn. You always have the option of using it on your turn. And on those turns where you may not have a great play, at least you can get 3 1/1s on
Very
board. That's not,
versatile.
the fact that you have that versatility is huge.
Right.
Sometimes
And
if
Warlock
you just have
does this.
some leftover mana and you don't know what to do with it, you can spend this and get a bunch of 1/1 tentacles.
All right, Andrew,
Which
next
are,
one.
what were they? Icky tentacles?
They're icky
Oh,
tentacles.
yeah, that's right.
They're hilarious.
Icky tentacles.
It's
Yeah.
important.
Bet they're moving in the golden.
All right,
Yeah.
next card, Andrew.
Next one, Forbidden Ancient. This is a Druid Epic minion. It's 1 mana. It's a 1/1, and you spend all your mana. Gain +1/+1 for each mana spent. So however much mana you have, it's going to be that much. So if you've got 3 mana and you play this, it's a 3/3. You got
No.
7 mana and you play it, it's a 7/7.
Andrew, it starts at 1/1.
Yes. Yeah, so you spend the rest of your mana, which would be on turn 3, you play it, you take 1, and then there's 2 remaining mana, which makes it a
You gotta
3/3.
spend one to spend it. So you're down
Yeah.
1 mana.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought that you were going to get a bonus 1/1 out of this.
No. So
Use
it's
1 mana and spend all your mana.
it's just like all the other forbidden spells, other than I guess forbidden shaping or whatever the priest one
is.
is.
One that costs 1. The other ones
Yes,
are
it
all
is.
0, right? And their spells.
All the other ones are 0.
I think they just wanted to make it really easily to understand is whatever you spend, you're going to get.
yeah,
So they made it 1 mana.
but it is a
Oh,
confusing kind of worded
okay.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. I
So,
don't really like the card.
it's
kind of
fine.
lame. All right.
Yeah,
this,
it is.
I will talk about this one. 4
This
mana
one's crazy.
shaman minion, flame wreathed faithless. So, whip up your tongues and get ready to do some exercises because that's a mouthful. It is a 7/7 minion for 4 mana with overload 2.
So even with the overload considered, it's great.
This card
Yeah.
is so gross.
Yeah.
The fact you can play it on turn 4 is not
This is
okay.
Just
Like, at all.
undeniable. This card is so good.
It's huge.
Now here's the only other thing we talk about. A lot of these shaman cards, like you can evolve them into higher cost creatures. This one you actually don't want to do that with. So that's
Exactly.
the only thing about this. Like
Think
you're
about-
getting so much value for the mana. You evolve it into a 5-cost minion, and it's probably going to
Yeah.
be worse.
Gonna go down in
Well,
stats.
the
Yeah.
only thing that's great about Evolve, which we'll get to, is that Evolve is something that you want to play after something has traded, so that you're getting the
Yes.
value out of that minion.
Yeah.
But let's
Like
move on. This card
recombobulate,
is
you know,
amazing.
you trade with it, you enter it, and then Fiery Bat. So this is the card that they decided to make for Firebat in order to honor him for the very first winner
He's
of the
been
very
immortalized.
first Hearthstone tournament. So I think that's awesome.
Great.
Hunter, common, 1 mana, 2/1 beast, death rattle, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. So it's like the toad that we have.
The huge toad, except
Huge
he
toad.
probably doesn't have a gnome in his mouth, I'm guessing. But
But he burns
It's
like
fine.
fire.
The art is awesome. I really like the fact that they gave Firebat a nod in the game in a hunter deck, of course, because he won with his created Death Rattle Hunter.
All right, guys.
this is
we
a
are
good Death
halfway-
Rattle Hunter card.
We are halfway through our total card collection, so I just want to say that for you listening now. If you want to take a break and come back, that's kind of like half the show.
Intermission.
Take an intermission, pause the show, do what you need to do. I
I
still don't know if I'm even gonna make this one show or not yet. We'll see, but it will definitely be one show on YouTube because it'll be take freaking forever to upload 2 shows.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, the next
I
card
need
is
coffee.
Feral Rage, 3 mana Druid card. That is a common. Choose one. Give your hero +4 attack, or gain 8 armor.
I want to propose something. I want to propose that we jump ahead to the next card because I don't think this card's going to see play unless it's comboed with the new legendary, which
So the
then
new
it becomes
legendary-
nuts.
Which is amazing. I love this legendary.
A 4-mana legendary called Fondrel Staghelm. It is a 3/5 for 4 mana, and it says your choose 1 cards have both effects combined. Now, before we talk
That's
about
so
how cool this card
So
is,
cool.
it is not a persistent effect battle cry.
It's an aura?
It is a persistent effect aura while it's on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes
So
sense.
anyone who raided in Firelands is very familiar with Fandral Staghelm. I love that they made him a druid legendary, and I love that they explained that now your choose 1 cards, where you usually have the 2 cards that show up and they go choose 1. For this legendary, they will now give you the 3rd option, which is the fused both, and I can't wait to see the art for those. I haven't seen the art for those
to
yet.
clarify that, Druid of the Claw, normally you choose a 4/4 with charge or a 4/6 with taunt. You will have a 4/6 with charge and taunt, and it'll be a different minion. So that's just exciting.
We have a
That's-
lot of questions about how this card's going to work, though, right?
Like what?
Why?
Like Wrath. Does Wrath do 4 damage and draw a card, or does it do 3 damage and draw a card?
It sounded like it does both to the same. Because before, there was a card that we had that we weren't sure. Oh, like your cards will trigger twice or something like that.
Bran.
If we'd get to choose. Yeah, with Bran, with like an Elven Archer, that you only get to choose 1. So I'd assume it's like that, but we don't know exactly for sure.
They
Ben
said it
did-
goes in order of what's
Yeah,
on the card, so from left to right. Yeah.
He did say that, and I would assume it's just the one target, just to keep it simple. But it could be different.
I was not questioning the target. I was questioning the
Oh,
effect. Similar to how you said that you'll get a 4/6 that says taunt and charge. I was like, but the way that Fondrel sounds, it should be getting both effects, so it shouldn't be transformed into a 4 blank with taunt or a 4/4 with charge. It should be maybe like transform into an 8, 10
Or
with
8,
charge and taunt.
10, yeah.
No.
So again,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
there's some of those things that may change. They may be different for card consistency's sake, and how he's explained away the Druid of the Claw. I would think the choose ones would be obviously.
But he did clarify with Keeper of the Grove that it'll deal 2 damage first and then it'll silence it. Okay. So I would assume that with Wrath it'll deal 3 damage first and then it'll deal 1 damage and draw a card. What's interesting is if you have spell damage on board, I'm guessing it'll deal 4 damage
Twice.
and then it'll deal 2 damage. So
cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There's just so much that you can do with this card.
I really like this card, and I also really like Feral Rage. I feel like Feral Rage is the epitome of what you want to have in Druid. An offensive and a defensive option with 1 card. It's so good, and I'm really glad they're putting Druid back in this place where their cards are all geared around allowing you to deploy whatever strategy you want, and yet still have that flexibility to backtrack if you're on the back foot. So really good cards here.
And the only other thing was Ancient of War. We have to say that real quick. You do get a 10/10.
Uproot, root,
And uproot.
Yeah. I mean, and Cenarius is the other one that's nuts. You get the 2/2/2 Treants, and all your minions get +2/+2.
Which one happens first? Do you get the treants and then they get the buff?
I don't know.
Because
I don't want to say because then I'd probably be wrong.
What about the Dark Whispers and the Wisps of the Old Gods, where you summon a
the
whole
Wisps
board?
of the Old Gods is actually not bad with this.
Yeah, the problem is you can't play them on the same turn.
We were going, why
without
did they make this card with this legendary? Now those cards seem better. I don't know, because they're so dependent on you having this card out.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but...
So, yeah.
It's pretty
Again,
cool.
some of the cool stuff that happens in this card is going to be really hard to pull off on tempo. We'll just put it that way.
We just like that it's such a different effect and such a cool effect. That's what's great about it.
Really inspiring. And the fact that he's a 4 mana, that you can play this in combo with different things and fairly early in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, really awesome.
So moving
Faceless Behemoth, is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Neutral common, 10 mana for a 10/10. Next, Evolve.
Well, no. Real quick. The fact that this is a common, it'll come up in Arena. It's a very late game minion. It's not the same stats as Deathwing or something like that, so it's a little bit under.
Class specific.
Yeah. But you still want North Sea Kraken, I think, before this. So
Sure.
Right.
Okay, one thing. This could work with the evolve minions, the things that make your minions evolve to the next higher stat.
And the
right?
faceless
Because for
one,
your
right?
10 mana cost cards, you're not normally getting a 10/10, right?
This is better than Mountain Giant.
Yeah. That's
Cool.
true. Okay. I will take that.
Cool that it exists.
I'm glad. Next card.
Evolved Kobold, a neutral common 4 mana 2/2 minion, spell damage +2. Nah, whatever.
Why Blizzard?
Right.
Why?
So this is the corrupted
Kobold Geomancer.
Cobalt Geomancer.
The art's
4 mana,
fantastic.
2/2 spell damage
Absolutely
+2.
fantastic.
Yeah, the art's amazing, but it's kind of the only amazing
This
thing.
is from the video when the candle above him got like shut out, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. Let's wait for that. Okay, let's move on to a much more exciting card. Evolve.
Yes.
We already talked about a little bit. It's a shaman rare spell, 1 mana. Transform your minions into random minions that cost 1 mana more. So it's kind of from the BlackRock or the League of Explorers adventure, where that hero or that
Right.
enemy,
Letty,
like every
Nazjar.
turn would have. Yeah, that. So
Whatever.
man, cool.
Nazjar.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nazjar.
Think
I
about
like it
evolving your
a lot.
totems, evolving your little bit, this makes Shaman an actually really interesting
It
class.
makes their minions way more durable. Way more durable.
I mean, it's 1 mana.
All right, I'll do
Yeah.
the next one. 2 mana, Eternal Sentinel, epic shaman card. 3 attack, 2 health, battle cry. Unlock your overloaded mana crystals. Hello,
Just like-
shaman.
So this he played on the same turn as that huge 7/7.
He played Halaziel the Ascendant.
Halaziel,
He played
Elemental Destruction.
healed his hero all the way up, overloaded for 5 mana crystals, and played Eternal Sentinel, and
Yeah.
had 10 mana to use next turn. And
It's crazy.
this is what I said, you guys. This is what I said. I was like, Shaman needs 1 more card that you can have 2 cards of that unlocks your mana crystals, and Shaman is on the map.
And I
And
think
it's got
that this
a
is better.
body.
Yeah, the fact that you're getting a 3/2 body instead of just dealing 2 damage, that was overcosted. This is vanilla. You're getting the effect for free, basically.
Exactly. So as a shaman player in WoW that does elemental things and not healing things and not face punching things with those hammers,
You're ready.
my body is ready, and this is my second favorite card aside from Halaziel. I love both of them equally, and I will be making them in golden. I don't care how expensive they are. These are so
I think that
cool.
Finally, we're going to be able to level up Shaman, get some ranked wins with Shaman. It'll be now. The
Without
fact that this is an
doming
epic, it's
them
going
with
to be
Doom.
harder.
Right,
It's
it
going
is
to be
an
harder
epic.
for budget players to get this. It's going to be tough, and it's going to be probably an auto include in a lot of really strong Shaman decks. So
if you
this
wanna
is
play
probably a
Shaman-
card you're going to want to, craft.
I'm
Yeah.
predicting it's like Mysterious Challenger. You want to.
I'm agreeing
So
with
yeah.
that
if you're
statement.
going to play Shaman, if you're excited about Shaman, this is something that I hope you open up in your packs.
I really
You might
love
wait
this
a.
card.
You probably want to wait a little bit. Don't go crazy unless you've got
If
just
you
dust
get-
spilling out your ears. But
If you get
this is
one,
probably
it's still
going to be
good.
good.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
get one, it's still good, right? Like you can still
Yeah.
just have
Yeah.
a
Absolutely.
one-off,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
okay.
All right, next one, Eldritch Horror.
Neutral common, 8 mana for a 6/10.
That's fine.
All right, next.
I wish that card had taunt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if it had taunt, it would be.
Now,
I mean,
think
you
about
could put
this,
it in
though.
that warrior deck, which gives the other minions taunt.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? It doesn't have taunt, but on turn 10, you can
Oh.
play this, and you can play the sparring partner
Sparring
and give
partner.
it taunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
And this card in Arena is bonkers.
It's good.
It's good stats for 8 mana, yeah.
We've got a
Six
lot
is good
more
attack
common
and it's
minions that are.
Okay, this next
are
one we're
up
just going to
on
read
the
off.
top.
It sucks. Duskboar, 2 mana, 4 attack,
No.
1 health, beast.
No. I will not let you leave it at that because, for one, this card is missing charge because obviously Huffer is sad. Okay. Very, very sad. This is depressed Huffer. That's what's going on.
This is Huffer with a little bit of barf from N'Zoth on him. That's what this card is.
But really, if you play it on turn 2, it's not like awful. I don't think this is going to get played much. Yeah, against Mage, it's not good. But against like Priest, they've got to trade their Northshire Cleric into it, or it's a stretch. We can keep moving. Okay. Yeah. Doomcaller. This card's crazy. This card's crazy. Crazy. So it's an 8-mana neutral minion, rare, 7/9, which is fine. But the battle cry is give your Cthulhu +2/+2. But if Cthulhu's dead, if he has died already in this game, you shuffle him back into your deck.
And he has good stats.
And Ben Bro talked about this on stream, that the reason they made this card is it was really boring if you got Cthulhu out early in the game and then the game doesn't end. You're still buffing a non-existent Cthulhu, which isn't fun at all. So you probably just have one of these in your deck just in case of that scenario, because man, Cthulhu's so powerful. I don't know that's going to happen often.
Something that people didn't ask is, if Cthulhu is dead, is it still getting buffed?
That's wherever it is comes into play.
That is what I'm asking, because if you now have something like this that can bring it back if it's dead, the entire time it's dead, I need to know, is it still getting buffed? Because that would be huge. Yeah. If you have this in your deck, then you can continue playing those Cthulhu buffing minions until you get this, and Cthulhu is still getting buffed.
Does wherever it is include not in your deck? That's the, I guess
well,
that's the...
It includes, in Magic the Gathering terms, the graveyard.
Right.
So wherever it is, we need to know, can I still keep playing my Cthulhu buffing minions and then go, when I pull this out, it's going to be huge.
I think it's appropriate to address the question, as Eva said, but it's also important to recognize that safely you can at least assume that the answer to her question is yes. And the second thing is that Doomcaller is very specific. If it is dead, shuffle it into your deck. It doesn't mean if you don't run Cthulhu and you're playing Cthulhu cards, shuffle it into your deck.
Right, right.
Fair point.
So this is a one-of in a Cthulhu deck.
Perfect.
Probably.
Next card. Divine Strength.
Divine Strength. The card that we didn't know we wanted and we're still not sure that we want. It's a 1-cost paladin spell. Give a minion +1/+2.
Common.
Common.
I love the art because it looks like the lady's just like, my body is ready.
That's something that needed to be said.
Yeah,
I'm ready to play paladin.
I'm seeing this
That's
more
what you're
as
saying.
a card that comes out of other cards rather than something you're actually going to put into your deck. So something that steals like class cards, spells from other decks and things like that could give you this card. But I don't see you putting it in your deck. It's just like, what exactly does this do that you want to take up a place in your deck?
What are you doing with this card?
Maybe it's the one spell to make Yogg-Saron balanced. Maybe that's what they did.
I don't know.
They realized we need
I just want to move on. I don't want to have
yeah, we can move on.
It's just kind of boring. Disciple of Cthulhu, neutral, rare, 2 mana, 2/1, battle cry, deal 2 damage, give your Cthulhu +2/+2. So for a 2 mana, 2/1 body, battle cry, deal 2 damage, plus giving your Cthulhu +2/+2. It's huge!
3 mana.
This is a really good... It says 2 mana.
I
on
wrote
our
it down
show
wrong.
notes.
Oh,
okay then. I'm not as excited.
Yeah.
3 mana?
It's
okay,
still
I was
good.
going to say this is broken if it was 2 mana, but...
Now, most other cards have been like vanilla stats, and the Cthulhu buff is just kind of added in. This one, it's a little overcosted. Because a 2/1
deal 2 damage, you can't...
is 1.
Do you get to choose
That's
where
worth
it
1
goes?
mana. Yeah,
Yeah, you get to choose.
Yeah,
it's not just like random. You get to choose.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that this was a rogue
good.
card. Because I think that's really where this is going to sit, is rogue.
It's neutral.
I know.
It's neutral, so you can play it. Okay.
I know it's a neutral card, but I feel like rogues are the ones that are going to want to play this in their Cthulhu.
That want it?
Because they can backstab and play this on tempo and deal 4
Oh,
damage.
yeah,
with a
that's
2/1.
good.
on turn
That's
3.
really
This is,
good.
yeah, actually, the fact that you can choose, I didn't realize that you could choose where it went. That's actually makes this playable.
Yeah,
When you
it's
think
good.
about it, it's like an SI7 with a guaranteed effect.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah.
And
I don't
you're
know.
sacrificing
Yeah,
the
but-
body to buff your Cthulhu. That's what they're saying.
yeah, it was powerful in the streams that they were playing. So
Yeah, it was good.
I think we'll see this played.
I also really
Next
like
Yeah, I
one.
think it's a BinacaFreak deck.
Andrew
Pandas, right?
Pandas.
Next one's crazy. I like this card just because it's such a different effect. It's Dark Speaker. It's a neutral epic minion. It's 5 mana. It's got 3/6 stats, and the battle cry is swap stats with a friendly minion. So
This is a really
the 3/6
cool epic
goes to one minion, and then it takes on the stats of that minion. I just think it's cool that.
So something that has a weak body but a really great effect that you want to be able to stick around for longer, you give it 3/6, which is
Yeah.
really decent stats. It's gonna
And-
live.
And they played this in Shaman, where totems are a perfect example of that. And then you can target this with that 4/5 minion that transforms it into one cost more.
Master of Evolution.
The Master of Evolution. And then all of a sudden, this is a 6 cost, and that's like kind of gross.
I like this card
The
a
other
lot
thing I
because
like-
it opens up a lot of deck building.
Yeah.
Options.
Yeah, I think that's what's exciting.
The other thing I like too is that if you play this and you already have things on board from your previous turn, then you can attack with the 3/6 as well. Where this you would have to wait a turn to attack. You can give something an extra 3 attack that can suddenly attack.
I'm reading some of the comments on their Facebook, and some people are saying this is really good with maybe a dragon egg or a Nerubian egg in
Ooh.
Wild.
Right, something that you want to be able to attack that can attack, so it can get its death
I was
rattle
even
off.
thinking you could use this with cards that are about to die or
Their health
maybe-
is really low. Yeah.
Yes,
The-
or
the
even
only
cards
thing-
that do really good things when they're damaged, like a Grim Patron. You can swap this stats of the Grim Patron and continually hit it with more damage and spawn more.
Right. I think,
The ol-
though, that it would be healed, right? So if it had an enrage effect, it wouldn't be enraged anymore.
Here's the problem. It's 3/6 stats that think about it as a spell that adds 3/6, but it's minus whatever that minion had. So you think about the dragon egg, that's a 0/2. Would you play a spell that was add 3/4 to this minion for 5 mana? Probably not. And the bad thing about it is that you've got to have something to do with the Dark Speaker after it's flipped, because a 0/2 minion is even more useless than a dragon egg with 0/2, right? So that's why with the Master of Evolution, it's good because you can still get value out of it. It'll be interesting to see how people play with it.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine giving your juggler 3/6 stats. Like something that you really like the ability of and you want to keep it on the board,
So-
but it's got like a really weak body. You
But
make
you're
it a
paying
3/6.
But you're paying 5 mana to add +1/+4. That's what you're doing essentially.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's worth it, but I think somebody will find something very interesting to do with it.
Okay, let's move on.
Darkshire Librarian. This is the lady that always told you to shush when you were making a ruckus in elementary school library. The Warlock minion, rare, 2 mana, 3/2, battle cry, discard a random card, death rattle, draw a card. So this isn't going to make discard Warlock a thing, but I think it's kind of almost on the right direction, where if you play Tiny Knight of Evil, then you've got a lower cost minion that helps you discard a card, but you want cards in your hand early in the game, so you have some options, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Meh.
I was really disappointed that this was the only discard, I think, out of this set, right?
Like ideally you
So-
want to play this when you don't have any cards in your hand.
And
Which
that's
is
not going to happen on curve.
Yeah.
The fact
I
that
mean,
it gives
I
you
can
a card.
see,
is good,
I can
but-
see this as a 1 of 2 drop for Zoo, and that's the stretch that I have. Because Zoo, you're going to be
Because
dumping
your
your
hand is
hand.
empty.
You can play this before you tap, and justify not tapping on a turn. And then when it dies, you can get an additional card draw. So maybe.
If you have
that
Fists
great?
of Jaraxxus, it's great, but you're not guaranteed that that's the card you're going to discard.
Right.
So
It's not going to make
I
it any
want
more
that
playable.
to work and be a thing. Yeah, but it's just, I don't think so.
Discarding just feels so bad.
Yeah.
Darkshire Councilman, Warlock Common, 3 mana for 1/5. After you summon a minion, gain 1 attack.
Oh,
Is this the
my
first political
gosh.
card we've had in
So
the game?
this summon is the same thing as wherever it comes from. So it doesn't
Donald
just have to
Trump?
be...
Is that you?
It is, actually. But think about playing this and then the Forbidden Tentacles or Forbidden Spell. I see. I already can't remember what
I
these
think it's
things are
Forbidden
called. There's
Tentacles. I think you're right. But the
Forbidden Ritual. Forbidden
Ritual, that's it. Look at the background of this card. Like, if you guys can pull it up, I know I have it on the screen here for the video viewers, but the shadow of this guy looks like Cthulhu with a hat on, and it's awesome. It's so cool.
It's cool. You want to get 2 minions on board so that it's a 3/5 for 3, which is good, right?
I
If
think
you
this
can
is
get
a
a
good
2/5,
card.
yeah, there's probably a good chance you can get value out of this. I think that's
And it's
what's
a
so great
common,
about
which
it.
makes this really freaking insane. So
And for kind of token warlock and all of that, it should be easy
Yeah.
to get some
And
stuff.
again, like Andrew was saying, like, you do want to play this with other minions to get that value, but the greatest part about this card is a 5 health, meaning that if your opponent wants to kill
Yeah.
it, they can, but it's usually not going to die, and it may not trade 2 for 1, but it does effectively give you a little bit of a heal by soaking damage.
It is sort of a lightning rod. It
Right.
doesn't have taunt marked, but your opponent is going to want to kill it before it gets too much.
Okay.
Works with
Why are you
Hobgoblin.
smiling, Eve?
Hobgoblin!
Oh.
Hype, hype. Okay.
All right.
All these cards that have abilities that have 1 health is like Hobgoblin.
All right, Eve, next one.
Darkshire Alchemist, Priest, Common, 5 mana, 4/5. Battlecry, restore 5 health.
Dude.
So this is your heal
powerful
bot.
card.
It's not exciting, but it's powerful. It'll be good.
Yep. Stores 5 health, has a decent body. I like it. Moving on.
With Akanai, deal 5 damage.
This
just real
is
quick.
so powerful.
Nice.
You guys have like no idea.
you can target it?
This is a
I don't know
targeted
why I'm
heal.
just assuming that a lot of these abilities are like random where they go. But
is a
yeah,
targeted
you can
heal.
target it with Akanai, then that's
You've
that's
got
good.
Yogg-Saron on the brain.
Yeah. Too many
So
randoms.
freaking good.
Next one's pretty cool.
Cyclopean horror.
Although the art is weird. It didn't
It's kind
look
of like derpy Cyclops.
Yeah, it's not goofy enough, but anyway, it's a neutral epic minion, 4 mana, 3/3 with taunt, and Battlecry gain +1 health for each enemy minion. So it's almost similar to King of Beasts, except for because it's getting buffed by what's on the board. But yeah, it's anti-aggro. So this is almost like a better whatever that healing guy was. The thing we thought was kind of the new anti-heal
It's like
bot.
the Worgen cultist or whatever it was called.
Yeah, you really want this more so to deal with your opponent's big board.
And it'll trade pretty well with aggro decks, so that's kind of the point of the card. The only downside is for your budget players, it's an epic, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So 2 enemy minions, and it's a Senjin Shield Master. Anything more than that, and you're getting
It's value.
extra stats. Although with Bran, hello. He
Oh
jumps up
yeah,
and
they did play that on the stream, and it ended up having like 11
It's a
health.
311,
Yeah, it was a
yeah.
311. Yeah.
It was
nuts.
ridiculous.
All right,
And
I
3
don't
is
think
a
that's gonna be
decent
fun.
amount of attack for a taunt minion.
Yeah, let's move
Yeah,
on.
it's
This is a
fun.
great card to look at for your deck building.
Cult Sorcerer. This is a mage rare minion. It's 2 mana, 3/2. It's got spell damage +1, and after you cast a spell, give your Cthulhu +1/+1. So this fits in if you wanted to do like a Cthulhu tempo mage. This would be a really good card to play.
Or
Good
Yogg-Saron
spell
Tempo Maze.
synergy. I like it. Yeah.
You could do you could combine the two, Yogg-Saron and Cthulhu, with this card.
Yep.
And you're playing a lot of spells. You're also dealing a lot of damage. That could be really powerful.
I would like to point
Like
out
it.
that this card is effectively making a rare and better version of Kobold Geomancer, because it trades up, and it does a lot of it does the same effect, and then you're getting an additional effect out of this. So
It has a lot of abilities. Spell damage.
This is one
synergy
of the
with spells.
more card text that we've seen on an individual card.
Yeah.
So I really like it.
A lot of card text.
And that's what Mage wants. That's why Sorcerer's Apprentice and Flamewaker and Mana Worm are also powerful in Tempo Mages, because you get bonus out of every spell that you play.
Yeah.
And this is just going to take that to a new level.
Cool.
It's good.
Next card.
Crazed Worshipper, neutral epic, 5 mana, 3/6 taunt. Whenever this minion takes damage, give your Cthulhu +1/+1. So the 6 health is a decent amount for the effect that you want people to have to take a couple swings at it to kill it.
It's a Fen Creeper.
Yeah, it's a Fen Creeper, but you're getting a Cthulhu effect.
You can also do damage to it yourself.
It's again kind of another tool that they're giving other decks that do better at damaging their heroes or healing their heroes. Minions, sorry, not their hero. Healing their minions a little bit better. So Warrior can deal a lot of damage to this and can maybe even combo it with an Axe Flinger and a Patron. But Priest can keep
obviously
this alive and continually trade and heal it.
If you can get Power Word Tentacles on this, you're probably going to get a lot of value, or force your opponent to
10 mana.
Yeah. The cool thing is that your opponent's going to want to hold on to their hard removal for Cthulhu if they know he's coming, but something like this, if you buff it enough, you might force them to do that, and then you're kind of in control.
There's a lot of minions, you guys. Like, now that we're kind of almost done here, we're kind of nearing the end, but this card is something that you'll want to pay attention to as not just individually, but as a whole. Other cards along with this that are medium to decent effects that are worth paying attention to remove them, and they have taunt, so you have to get rid of them. Like, they're basically making the game slightly slower. It's more difficult to run your attack stuff. It's harder to silence things, and you have to really make a hard decision on tempo removal versus saving removal for bigger things. So this is really going to help Hearthstone present big minions as being big minions and not something that's just like, oh, later you're turned into a frog because I've killed all of your other threats. Like, you're going to start running out of your removal or your answers to threats if you're using them up on other things. You're going to have to use your minions a lot more.
Yeah, and then by the time Cthulhu comes out, what do they have left to deal with Cthulhu?
Exactly. So Cthulhu's going to be that finisher.
Yeah. Corrupted Seer, neutral, rare, 6 mana, 2/3 Murloc. Battle Cry, deal 2 damage to all non-Murloc minions. So that would include your own.
It's really pricey. So the only way that
way too much mana.
So let's see, Consecrate, basically. Consecrate plus a Murloc.
You're paying 4 mana for kind of that, yeah. And it includes your minions. So a Murloc deck is good. Like, really what you want this in is the Shaman deck, where you can evolve it into something again. Because if you get the effect for 6, but then you actually get a body that makes sense for 7, that's not bad. But that's a very specific situation.
Side, what if you get a 5 mana card that you evolve and it turns into this? Then you just cry.
That stinks. Yes, you do.
Oh
Absolutely.
my gosh.
I want to think that in Arena you kind of want this, just because board clears are so valuable, but it's still...
It doesn't build your board because you're not going to have that many Murlocs. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's 6 mana.
It's rough. It's rough.
So hot.
Andrew.
So Corrupted Seer is, what is it a corrupted version of?
Cold Light Seer.
Cold Light Seer.
Cold Light.
All right, Andrew, next one.
We got the Carrion Grub. It's a hunter common, 3 mana, 2/5 beast. It's vanilla. So it's basically Druid of the Flame for them. It's fine. You play this, and the next turn you play Houndmaster on it. That's a 4/7 with taunt. Yeah, that's good.
You're just going to be looking at all the beasts when you're making your beast hunter deck, so...
I like this card a lot, and it's a good vanilla card. Cool.
Tell us about another good vanilla card, Rob.
Bog Creeper, 7 mana, 6/8 with a taunt. It's basically a souped up,
neutral common.
corrupted
Fen Creeper.
So they basically took Fen Creeper's attack and they doubled it, and then they gave him a little bit more health, and they upped his mana by 1. So this is straight up
2.
Blizzard giving us more options for turn 7, which I really like. Anytime I see a 7-mana card, I'm happy, regardless of if it's good or bad. We're just getting more options for turn 7.
Just good.
So this next card, I don't know why, but I really like it. I like the art. I like the effect
card.
that it has.
Yeah.
1 mana, deal 1 damage to a minion. If it survives, summon a 2/2 slime.
And it's
a
Blood
warrior
to
card.
Ichor.
Yeah. Blood to Ichor.
It's kind of like Light of the Naru, where it's a 1-mana spell and you want it to, not kill something, and you get something bonus. But the cool thing with Warrior specifically is a lot of times you want to damage your own minions. You think about this with that.
Yes. And this doesn't say enemy minion, it just says minion.
And it's cheap.
Oh yeah.
You can use this to execute something for 2 mana. You play this, you get a 2/2 slime, you deal 1 damage to enable your execute, and then you can execute something.
Think about that card existing. 2-mana card, destroy any minion, summon a 2/2 taunt, or a 2/2 slime.
Well, the good reason that they split the 2 cards up is because they take up 2 card slots.
Yeah.
So essentially, this is a 1-mana Cruel Taskmaster that does not give you +2, but rather generates a 2/2 minion.
Yeah, that's good.
It's good.
Next one is Bloodsail Cultist. This is a warrior common minion. It's a 3-mana, 3/4 pirate, so it's a spider tank. But the battle cry is if you control a pirate already, you give your weapon +1/+1. So Tempo Pirate might be a thing now. This is a cool card.
So we were talking about how pirate decks are way better in Warrior because of the weapon synergy, and you're not, like in Rogue, you're constantly refreshing your weapon. So, yeah. I think it's
a Captain Green. It's a Captain Greenskin effect.
You know
do need to have a pirate on your board, but
I'm really sad that this isn't a rogue card. I feel
why?
Like
I don't know. I think pirate just works better in warrior, which honestly doesn't make sense because rogues are more like pirates than warriors are.
Well, the thing is, you're getting your weapon to be 2/3 in rogue, and you're able to not only do that, but like you can basically have a weapon equipped, and then by turn 4 you can drop a South Sea deckhand, and then hit something for 2, and also buff your weapon up to be a 2/3. So I don't know.
There's a couple buffing cards from Rogue though. That one that has Death Rattle, give your weapon a buff. That's a Rogue
to be
card.
A little bit more powerful. I think that they're going to be very
fair.
underpowered with this expansion. But again,
That's fair.
I'm not saying this is bad for Warrior. I will say that this is still a good.
It's good for Warrior. Yeah.
Let's move on.
Cool. Next one.
Yeah.
Bloodhoof Brave, Warrior Common, 4 mana, 2/6 taunt, Enrage, +3 attack.
Holy snot!
So it'll be a 5/5 with taunt for 4 mana, if you hit Blood to Ichor on it or something. That's good.
A 5/5.
It's really good.
Because
if you deal 1 damage to it somehow.
Yeah.
So that'd be a good card, I'd say.
Got taunt.
It's kind of just very interesting.
Well,
Isn't there
taunt
another
warrior
Tauren card that has taunt and Enrage that this would be like a...
This goes
Sorry.
into Bolster Warrior for sure. Holy cow!
But we already had the Infested Tauren or something like that. It was that 5 mana, 2/3. When it dies, you get a 2/2 slime. Or
yeah, this is just better.
This is much better.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if it has a place.
Are you guys ready
Next,
for a
we've
weird
got
card?
the Blade of... Yeah, this is cool. Blade of Cthulhu. This is a rogue epic minion. It's a 9 mana 4/4, which I don't know that there's another card that has such crazy stats like that. The battle cry is destroy a minion, add its attack and health to Cthulhu's. So it's overcosted by 5, but assassinate costs 5. So you're getting both of those effects in one card.
This is, again, epic card, specific scenario, specific effect, very powerful in that specific area. On turn 9, if this is like your turn 9 after your opponent's turn 8, that's the ideal situation. Your opponent drops a huge turn 8 bomb, then your turn 9 goes around, you use this, you kill it. Let's use Ragnaros as an example. You're getting your Cthulhu 8/8. You're destroying a minion, and you're developing a 4/4. And then turn 10, you have an additional 8 charges on your Cthulhu on turn 10. this card could be the late game tempo swing card that you want in a Cthulhu deck. Is it worth playing 2? Absolutely not.
I don't think so. Yeah, they did play it with Shadow Step, which was interesting. I don't know that that's going to be a thing,
also got
but
a gazillion Emperor ticks.
yeah, he used it like 3 times. Yeah, if you get a couple ticks off of it with Emperor, it's way worth it.
Yeah.
You could have such a huge, massive spike to Cthulhu's attack and health.
Yeah, and
with this thing.
If you have like a full board of really durable minions and you're maybe like sitting pretty high in health and your opponent plays Cthulhu, and then you play this and you're still alive, holy cow, good night. Like the opponent's dead, like just absolutely dead. You're annihilating a control Cthulhu matchup. You're also eliminating their win conditions, so they can't play it anymore unless they have the 8 mana card that puts it back in their deck. And then you can play yours like to answer it. It's just like your Cthulhu could get up to like 60 or something nuts.
Yeah, I think it was like 28 or something when he used it. It's ridiculous.
But again, it's only for rogues, so look out.
And it's epic.
It's a powerful one.
Expensive.
Yeah.
Expensive. Speaking of rogues, Andrew, run us into our next one.
The Bladed Cultist is a rogue common 1 mana minion. He's 1/2, but combo gain +1/+1. So ultimate turn 1 is coin, Bladed Cultist, Bladed Cultist. You got 2/2/3s for 2 mana.
Or you're going second, and you don't want to use your coin, and your opponent develops a big minion that has 2 health for 1 mana for whatever reason, and you can play Backstab and this.
Yeah, that's pretty good too. So I think it's a good tool. It's not overpowered like, Zombie Chow was an auto-include in a lot of control decks where you got a guaranteed 2/3. You're probably not going to play this on turn 1, more than likely, but you will get a 2/3 later in game for 1 mana, which is good.
Man. We're closing in on 2 hours, guys. Stick with us. We're almost done.
We are.
We're just about there. Let's go into last cards.
Hey, you remember the good old days when we didn't know what to talk about? You remember those?
Remember the good old days when we're not doing
just
card
have
reviews
some
every frickin' episode? Ugh.
Hey, I enjoy it. I know you don't, but it's fun.
All right, Eve.
Blackwater Pirate. Neutral, rare, 4 mana, 2/5 pirate. Your weapons cost 2 less. I think pretty much ideally you put this in Warrior.
Warrior with Gorehowl.
Yeah.
Holy
they
this
have
card
some
hasn't
pretty
gotten a lot of
Gorehowl next turn.
I can't remember the name of their 5 attack weapon, but they do have some pretty hefty, expensive weapons. So I would think that this would be best in Warrior.
Yeah, this is a good card. I mean, the hard thing is that you don't get a lot of immediate value out of it. You kind of don't want to play it late game and play this and Gorehowl. I guess you could, and it'd be fine. But you sort of want to play it. You sort of want to play it on turn 4 and then turn 5 be able to, play a free Fiery War Axe or something. Or I guess you could do that
health is enough to kind of, it would take a lot of removal.
I just thought of this. You can play Blackwater Pirate. On the same turn, you can also play a 2 mana, like whatever 2 mana weapon that you have. So that one, you have the Fiery War Axe. You have the other one. Is it the Fiery King's Defender that has 2 attack, 3 health?
That's a 3 mana. That's a 3 mana though.
Oh, okay. So maybe not. But then if you play this and you play Fiery War Axe, you can also play a Bloodsail Corsair on the same turn. So you have a 2/5, a 3/3 with taunt, and a 3/2 weapon on the same turn.
Oh, that's true.
That's
good.
And they're both pirates.
Yeah. Wow.
Holy crap.
Although with the 3 attack, it would be 1 mana, so you'd have to do that on turn 5. But that's a huge tempo play to be able to get all of that all at once. Or the Dread Corsair, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Corsair would be 1 mana? Okay.
Yeah, but that's still a
right.
great play.
Right.
Are you kidding? You get a 2/5, a 3/3 with taunt, and a 3/2 weapon all in the same turn. You can turn things around with that. Next card is really cool. Bilefin Tidehunter. So this is the Corrupted Murloc Tidehunter. It's a 2-cost neutral common minion. It's a 2/1 Murloc. Battlecry summon a 1/1 ooze with taunt. So all they did was change the token. It's not a Murloc. It's a very cute ooze with a little sword and shield. And he's got taunt. And That's a really good... Oh, it does. It totally does. It's a really good card, especially in Arena. This is what you want, but I think this will find a place in Murloc decks, too.
Yeah, it's just flat out better than the basic card that we've been given, which is, again, okay for Blizzard to power creep on the basic set at any given time, right?
Yep.
All right. Anomalous.
Next one.
Anomalous. That's his name. Anomalous is the Mage Legendary. 8 mana for an 8/6. Death Rattle. Deal 8 damage to all minions.
Is anyone else thinking Flame Leviathan, where like there is just it's confusing, it's not exciting, it's not going to get played?
This I like the only thing I can think of is in Freeze Mage, which is one more thing to like completely remove the board.
But it doesn't have time
for your win condition. No, but they're going to have to get rid of it. And if they can't get rid of it by polymorphing it or silencing it or something like that, then it's going to do 8 damage to all minions, which gets rid of almost everything.
You don't want to big game hunter it. I guess that's nice, but I just don't see where this fits.
I mean, I'm glad they didn't give Mage something that was really good, because right now they're looking pretty strong. So
Yogg-Saron might as well be the new Mage Legendary, because I think that's where it's going to get played the most.
Is there a way that you could trigger this yourself?
I mean,
you could big game hunter it.
The only other scenarios
on your
I'm
next
thinking
turn
through is cards that generate other cards. So something that could generate this, aka Elise,
Infestor Paletris.
Paletris. Like, you just want to have a little bit more balance for those random effects. So there needs to be niche stuff like this, and I think this is going to help you win the Fatigue War in the Elise Mirror if you get this. So it's similar to like getting an Ice Howl. You're just getting something that removes, it gets something that clears your opponent's board, then you can start playing, etc. So.
I don't know. I think that Mage is really well known for its huge board clears, its big AoE, and so this Legendary is like, this is a huge AoE board clear.
Eve, if I remember correctly, wasn't Anomalous the first boss in the Nexus, or the third boss in the Nexus raid? Or not raid, it was a 5-mana dungeon in Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah, it sounds really familiar, Anomalous, yeah.
Because I think this guy, actually, his effect was just bombing your raid repeatedly, just like these huge explosions, and then he would turn into this little tiny thing, and he would do this huge eruption, and then he'd like spawn back out of it, and you have to DPS him again, and then every quarter of his damage he would go tiny and explode, and if you didn't get behind a pillar, you're dead. So... makes sense lore-wise, at least.
It's interesting that they tied it in that way. I'm just going to call it now that one of the three of us is going to get this as the only legendary, and when we open it, and we're just going to cry. I'm just saying.
I'm going to be opening way too many packs for that to happen, so no way.
We'll see.
All right.
Next one is the Omgum Rager, which I'm just realizing when you read backwards
is Magma Rager.
Magma!
And get this, it's the same card art. It just Magma Rager burnt out.
Is it seriously? Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, so
it's a neutral
common minion. I didn't see that.
It's
a neutral common minion. It's 3 mana. It's a 1/5. So it's just a flipped Magma Rager. So with Hobgoblin, there you go. But that's about it. I don't know how else it's played.
All right, next one. Eve.
A Light in the Darkness is a paladin common spell. It's 2 mana. Discover a minion and give it +1/+1. So it's kind of a Raven Idol with an upside. It's interesting.
This is a weird card, but I kind of like it.
You're paying the 1 mana for the Raven Idol. You're paying 1 mana for 1/1, which isn't great. I don't know what kind of deck this really fits in, but it's interesting. I think people will experiment with it. Maybe it'll find a place.
I do want to play with this card a little bit. It's like a balanced, unstable portal, right? It's not giving you the cost reduction, but you're getting a more balanced choice. You're not getting a legendary every time. You're also getting offered 2 additional options, and you're not getting offered options from other classes. You're only getting offers from Paladin and Neutral.
The bad thing is that you still have to play it. So whatever its mana cost is still in effect. So actually, as I consider that, I don't think it's really playable.
I think maybe Control Paladins might play 1.
I kind of want it to be, but it'll be great when you get it off of Yogg-Saron. That'll be nice.
Yeah, Absolutely.
Do you
I
actually
like
get to choose the minion when Yogsong
No, he
plays
does.
it?
Everything it discovers random.
He chooses
He
it?
does.
Okay. I mean, that's still good. You get a
Actually, I
free
think that he picks the furthest left minion in whatever Discover is.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Addled Grizzly, Druid, Rare, 3 mana, 2/2 Beast. After you summon a minion, give it +1/+1. Gee, this sounds familiar.
It's a beast knife juggler that's giving your minions buffs instead of
That's
damaging
interesting.
opponents.
The hard thing is you want to get guaranteed effect off of it, at least one minion. So you don't really want to play it on turn 3, especially because as a 2/2 it can die so easily.
Something
But-
that I was thinking about in Token Druid, right? Because you want to play this as tokens. You can play this on turn 4
Sure.
with your Living Roots. You can get 2/2s because it does say summon, it doesn't say play. You can also
Yeah.
get if you have a Violet Teacher on the board, you can play Addled Grizzly, and then you can play a spell, and then whatever 1/1 comes out as a 2/2, and then you get the effect of the spell. So again, those are just the things that are running through my mind as a deck builder. This is some of the things you can be thinking through, just thinking through summoned versus played. You don't have to play something to get the effect. You can always summon it. But that's it. That's all I have to say.
You could play it on turn 10 with Wisps of the Old Gods and have a bunch of 2/2s also. I think you're right, especially with Living Roots, that there are some ways that this could be really effective, and we'll probably figure it out.
I think
Token
you'll play
Druid
this
is
in
a good
Token
deck.
Druid, so you can roar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. Last one.
Last card. I'll cover this one. Aberrant
All right.
Berserker. It is a 4 mana, 3/5 body with the Enrage effect of adding 2 attacks. So this is a Mani Berserker getting
Corrupted.
Yasharaj buffed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 4 mana,
And
5.
4 mana, 3/5. Oh yeah,
best
that's
case
true.
scenario.
Oh, that makes it even less exciting because I was thinking Senjin Shieldmaster, it's like the same except without taunt. But if you're right to consider it as a 5/4, it's a Lost Tall Strider, which isn't exciting or really played.
Yeah,
So-
I think it's interesting because it's Senjin Shieldmaster with a really intriguing thing. Like, if you can set the board in Arena, I think is kind of the ideal situation for this card. You're basically trading effectively and getting your value trades, and this minion is removing something that has 3 health and not taking a whole lot of damage, and maybe left over with at least 2 to 4 health, and has the buff for 5 attack, and then all of the minions are also dead. This can trade up really well. So this could be similar to having an Amani in your arena draft. It could just be a little bit better of an edge if you can plan accordingly.
And I'm kind of surprised how much I'm thinking about Sparring Partner, but this is another card where if you can add taunt to it, then it's a little bit better, and it's not terrible. But
Guys, we made it. It's 2 hours.
Hey!
And
I don't know about you,
Now-
but I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted.
now here's the only thing. I've got 2 things that I want to say just to wrap up. I know we got a long show, but these are like really, really huge. The first one is, do you guys notice what was missing from this entire expansion? There's one keyword that you cannot find anywhere.
Silence.
No.
Oh, well, that too, I guess, but it might have been in TGT.
Inspired.
There's
They
not
said
an
that they weren't going to do
single
Inspire.
inspired. They did say that? Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised because it seems like that keyword's just going to die. And
Yeah, it is.
though there were some interesting cards in that set, we're never really going to see that keyword be a playable thing, it seems. Or like a really effective.
It's possible that they tried it out and they were like, doesn't work. Because in order to make it work, you have to make the card kind of broken because you're spending 2 extra mana to trigger it. So it was kind of like a failed experiment, and it's done.
With that
I
being
guess-
said,
which I
folks,
guess.
thank you so much for listening and toughing this episode out. We really appreciate it. We know that we try to keep this a little over an hour. We've been really long because of the card reviews lately, so we thank you for your patience. Ironically, even though we said that we wanted to keep the shows a little bit shorter overall, and we kind of fudged a little bit, on all of the episodes that we've fudged a little bit, our views and subscribers have increased drastically. So for whatever reason, thank you guys for enduring it and enjoying our content, and I'll especially want to thank our 7 Patreon supporters, Croven B, Ricardo C, John H, Pratap N, Gabriel Z, all the way from Australia. Garrett S., and Jeffrey W. for being just flat out awesome.
The
for
best.
giving us a little bit of their money. And Eve has a
They
little
have
bit
heard
of
the
an update.
whispers and answered.
We're going to thank our iTunes reviews, and Eve has our one review for this week to thank.
From D-Beard. 5 stars, considerate, insightful, and fun. Great show. You can tell the hosts care a lot about their listeners and all things Hearthstone. Keep up the good work.
Well,
Thank you very much, and please continue to support the show with your 5-star iTunes reviews. That's the cheapest way, the easiest way that you can support us. If you enjoy our content, please consider supporting us.
It's the best way
So
to
we
share
can
the
continue
show
to
if you
make
have
it.
no friends.
Oh, the other way is to tell your friends.
Yeah. So that being said, we're only going to plug our website, which is velenschosen.com. You can go check out all of our details there this week because the show is just so long. So just go check out the website. You'll find all the links. You'll find the extended show notes if you want to just read what we did for the show notes. It's not that insane this week. You can find links to other places and helpful locations. You can find the show on our Patreon page at patreon.com/velenschosen. Please support us there. We are still looking for more patrons to help us break even on our cost. It's still expensive, folks. It doesn't ever go away. So we do it for you, but we're still going to do it for free, and we really appreciate the support. You can find me on Twitter at NotRob. You can find the show at Velen's Podcast. You can find Andrew at Andrew is Living, and Eve at Finnovar, FHINNOVARR. We'll see you guys in Exodar next week. Enjoy your whispers.
When we do the show next week, it's going to be out.
Gonna be out. We'll see you later. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Did I miss it?